All right, Mr. Chair, we'll get the YouTube ready and I'll let you know when we're about to start.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Good
Thank
morning,
you.
everyone.
All right, Mr. Chair, we're live on YouTube, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, good morning. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx Webinar, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx Webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time, and we also ask that you mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled and you will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist rule if you fail to respect this instruction. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is called to order of the City of Toronto. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that apply to the property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever properties to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto local appeal body, in the event of an appeal, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto local appeal body or, in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. As November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Housing, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure is as follows. We'll go in, call each item in the order listed in the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. Where the committee does not require presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to address the committee, and the committee may ask questions and then take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and the clock is up on the board, and we will comment when you reach the 5-minute mark and ask you to wrap up if you haven't already done so. When addressing the committee, please start off by clearly stating your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions made to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if being substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those were entitled to notice of the application have been informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Again, maximum 5 minutes per speaker. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentations. And when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues and answer those questions raised by the speakers, but not to introduce new information at that time. And that will then mark the end of the discussion. And the application is then taken into committee for a decision. Okay, some housekeeping matters to take care of. We, I believe, have the minutes of the last meeting, which was the, I guess, the 9th. Was that the 9th of March?
Yes.
Okay, if we can have a motion to approve those minutes as circulated. Mr. Kamarick, thank you. Good morning. Seconded for that. I don't believe any of you may have been on that panel, but still need to second it. I don't get a
I
visual.
wasn't in attendance, but I can certainly second it if it's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I just note that I don't, or maybe I think Sophia was, I'm not sure if Sophia, no, she wasn't either. So, okay. So the minutes, all in favor? Okay, the minutes are approved. Does anyone have any declarations of interest, panel or staff, on the matters before us in this morning's agenda? None to declare.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
I'd like to declare a conflict with number 17. I live on that street.
Okay, noted. And you will, I guess, step away and not participate in item number 17. Okay, and now it looks like, Madam Secretary Treasurer, we have 4 items. We'll deal with the deferrals first. It looks like we have 4 on the list, and in the morning, it looks like we also have number 8. Is now the applicant is asking in an email for renewal, so we have that one to deal with. We might as well place that in the hopper in order. And then also looks like now number 9, which is looking for a deferral. If I'm correct in reading the minute, I believe in the additional materials, does it look like they now withdraw the application?
Yes.
Okay, so perhaps we'll do with that one first.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, as the applicant, I guess the applicant is on the line. Item number 9, because it said they were going to be advised of the process. I assume they were told that they should attend to deal with that today.
I don't think they're here today because the file is being closed.
Okay, so a little different than with a deferral or.
Yes.
Okay, so item number 9, 7A Connervale Avenue was to convert an existing garage in the rear yard into a garden suite. And I don't have to go through all the particulars that we had on that, but in the additional materials, the applicant or the agent has sent an email requesting to withdraw and close the file. Can I have a motion to that effect? I don't see a visual on. There we go.
I can.
Mr. Taylor, seconded by Ms. Alderson. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, the matter is withdrawn. The file is closed. And there is no refund, as I want to confirm that in the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the first deferral item. When it's a 6, we know the applicant is in favor, but otherwise we go through and see if the applicant is in agreement and what the committee thinks about the deferral. But so the first one is item number 5. We'll call 126 Lake Promenade. It's an application to construct a garage and a cabana in the rear yard. And Urban Forestry is looking for items 1 and a refusal. We have a deferral for items 2 and 3. And the speaker on this application is Anthony Bartolini. So we have Anthony on the line.
Hello there.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing, Mr. Chair? My name is Anthony Bartolini, and I'll be speaking as the agent for my clients on this file. Based on what you've stated, we are requesting a deferral in this case. Based on the recommendations and questions and concerns we have received from departments in the city, we would like to have some time to modify our proposal and resubmit accordingly.
Okay, so the staff request was for items 2 and 3, which was to provide staff with adequate time to review the application, discuss any concerns, and to consult with other city divisions for the same purpose. So now you've added by your email item 6 at the applicant's request. So members, any questions, or can we have a motion to defer? And
Mr. Chair and members, there are 2 area residents on the call that'd like to speak to this.
Oh, there are. Oh, I guess it's on the next page. I didn't see any.
Correct, Mr. Chair, on the next page.
Slide. Okay. Okay. So let's just weigh in with those parties just briefly before we have our vote. Okay. So the first one is Anton Sheglov at 128, right next door.
Good morning. I will accept the request for deferral. I made my letter that I submitted was a request for an objection letter for this development based on the outlined issue with the zoning. The hardscaping is quite
Yeah, we don't
significant.
want to hear from you. Yeah, we don't want to hear from you on the merits. So yeah, usually applicants are very happy, especially when the reason for the deferral is to consult with, with the staff and potentially neighbors to make potential changes and improve the application from your point of view. So we
Yes.
don't hear from you on what your concerns were at this time. You will be re-notified when the application is brought back to committee.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, sir. Okay, let's check in with the other neighbor from 2A 28th Street, Jerry Timko. Mr. Timko?
Hi, essentially along the same lines. So, definitely I'm okay with the deferral. My main concerns was really the encroachment over my property line with the eaves, but I'll definitely take a look at the new upcoming proposal.
Okay. Okay. It certainly shouldn't be over your property line. That's an encroachment, but
Yep.
you can deal with that on your own. Okay, sir. Thanks so much, and we'll see you here. If you still have concerns when the application is brought back on at a further time. Thank you. Okay, members. So we have the deferral request by city planning, and the applicant concurs. So do the neighbors, for that matter. Can I have a motion to defer, please?
I'd like to make that motion based on items number 2, 3, and now at the applicant's request, number 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Reddick. All in favor? Okay, the matter is deferred. We'll see you back again, Mr. Bartolini. The next one, I guess we might as well deal with item number 8. This was not on our memo, but we had a request in the materials by the applicant. In the additional materials is to discuss with planning and to provide information to forestry as the stated reason. And speaker, it looks like we only have one for this, is Lindsay Bruce. And this is again for a detached dwelling with an attached garage. We have a lot of them today. There were revisions made, as we'll probably hear from the applicant. They were 4 variances. Now there are 3, and 1 has been revised, but they want more time to deal with this. And I note that planning did have a memo on this. Okay, and urban forestry was looking for a deferral, and we had 4 letters of opposition. Seems to me, just as it goes forward, more with the demolition of this quite nice house and the style of the rebuild. And perhaps we can also clear up with the applicant. There seemed to be urban forestry seemed to be looking for conditions 2, 3, and 4. And we got a separate memo that was on the consolidated list, but on the memo, we got a separate memo to defer. So perhaps we can get that cleared up by Lindsay Bruce. Lindsay.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ava Barnett. I'm actually speaking on behalf of my colleague.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Lindsay, you're very muffled and quiet here in the council chambers. Maybe the members can hear you a bit better, but we can barely hear you in the chambers. If it's possible, could you get a bit closer to the microphone?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Much better, thank you.
It was okay, but I guess it's not as good in the council chamber. It seems this morning when you're doing the sound check, that was the case. I could hear, but you were telling them you couldn't hear. But that's perfect. And one of the things you didn't hear, Adam, is we have a new speaker.
Yes, Adam, it's Ava Barnett. I'm speaking on behalf of my colleague, Lindsay Bruce.
Okay, go ahead.
And it is true that we would like to seek a deferral on this file, and it would give us a little bit more time to satisfy planning comments and comments from forestry.
Right. So you did make changes. I believe you eliminated a variance and reduced one other. And they still, I guess, still want to discuss that. But there seems to be, if you can clear up, there's a discrepancy with forestry, as I just included in my comments, my introduction, whether they wanted the deferral or they now agreed on certain conditions.
They wanted to see a little bit more information on our plan and for us to outline the as-of-right building envelope to address that one tree. And we're confident that we can satisfy them, but they did want to see additional information.
Thanks. Okay, members, any questions for Ms. Burnett?
Mr. Chair and members, before we go to this, Ava, could I get your full name right into the record? Our support staff member who's taking notes just wants to get it for the records. First name, last name, and address, please.
Of course. It's Ava, AVA, Barnett, BARNETT, SMPL Design Studio, 15 Colburn Street, Hamilton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so members, any questions for Ms. Barnett or somebody for?
I actually have a question, and then I'm happy to make a motion. I'm wondering if you've seen the letters of opposition that have come in about this file.
Yes, we have seen them. We have reviewed them.
I just wanted to make sure that you had. And I'm happy to make the motion for deferral.
We
Does
seem to
anyone
have
else?
lost the chair, so we'll just pause until he can come back.
And that's based on item 6 at the applicant's request.
Michael, it sounds like you're trying to speak, but we can't see or hear you.
Mm.
You're, Mr.
breaking
Chair,
up.
you're still chopping out. Do you want to exit and try rejoining the meeting?
Hold on. Am I back?
We can hear you very faintly, but we can't see you.
Okay, I just was my Wi-Fi somehow. I just put it back on. It somehow that out, so it should be fine. Pressing start video. It says I'm on. Anyway, you don't have to see me anyway if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay,
So we have a motion by Laura to defer as requested by the agent.
Okay, thanks so much.
And
Seconder for that.
Ms. Reddick, second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, the matter is deferred.
Thank you,
Okay.
members of the committee.
Thank you. Am I back?
We still can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, I think it's just coming back now. There we go. Is that back?
Yes.
Wonderful. All is good in the world. You can see me on video. Okay, so the next deferral, we already did 9, which is now a change from a deferral. So next one on the list is item 15 Drury Lane. And this is for detached dwellings and attached garage with a revision. There were 7 variances, now 5, 4 revised. Urban Forestry looking for a deferral, planning looking for a refusal, and the applicants have written in they want to make more revisions and or they made revisions and planning is still opposed, so they want to defer on item 6. Reason number 6 on our list. The applicant on this item is Argamiro Neto.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Good morning.
My name is Argamiro Neto, acting as an agent of the owner of 15 Drury Lanes, Nicholas Maida.
Yep.
I would like to state that we are open to deferring this application if the committee will not be comfortable granting us favorable decision. With your permission, I would like to give a brief history of this application.
Okay, sorry, sir. We don't do, listen to what I have to say. If you're not in favor, then defer. You either defer at the outset, we're not going to hear you on the merits, and then that would be interesting if it worked that way, but it doesn't.
All right, that sounds fair. So
Okay.
we would like to defer that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Members, any questions for Mr. Neto, or is someone ready to weigh in with a motion? I don't have a visual on anyone, so.
I'll move for deferral so the applicant can process with staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Komoric. Seconder for that, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? Okay, your matter is unanimously deferred, sir. We'll see you back here again.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful. Okay, the last deferral item, and then we can go back to number 1 and start with hearing applications, is item number 14, 16 Massey Grove Crescent. This is for reasons 1, 2, and 6 on the consolidated memo, and the speaker for the agent for the applicant is Kyute Kim. Kyute Kim is the speaker. They're on the line.
One moment, Mr. Chair. They were on earlier. Here they are.
Okay.
Hello. Good morning,
Hello.
committee members. Yeah, my name is Kyute Kim. Yeah, I'm the agent representing the owner of 16 Massey Grove Crescent. Yeah, today I would like to request a deferral to allow us to work with our planner and zoning examiner in order to discuss any further concerns or potential changes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Kim, or is someone ready to weigh in with that motion? It's for reasons 1, 2, and 6. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. I will move deferral for planning reasons 1 and 2, and the agent concurring with that as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that motion. Mr. Komoric, thank you. All in favor? It's unanimous. The matter is deferred. We'll see you back here again, Mr. Kim, once you've sorted out your issues with planning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
And our first, I don't think there's any other deferrals to deal with, so we can go back to item number 1.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
on item 3, TRCA is requesting deferral. I'm not sure if you want to deal with it now or just.
Yeah, I know that as well. Since it's only item 3, and typically I think, Madam Secretary, we go when it's someone other than planning, transportation, or we generally go and deal with that as we deal with it, but we can certainly deal with it now if everyone would prefer. Barb?
It's up to the members. We normally would deal with it in order.
Okay, so perhaps let's do that if no one has any objection in terms of keeping track. So the first item is item number 1, 1438th Street. It's an application to construct a new detached garage within it, a new detached dwelling within a detached garage. We have a lot of those today. There were 2 variances, and we have a revised notice for the agenda. The FSI has been reduced from 0.53 to 0.5, whereas 0.35 is permitted. There's also a second variance. And on this item, we have the revised plans and email from the agent, correcting the room labels. Appeared to be a lot of bathrooms, but they were bedrooms, so they've corrected the plans. We have the Long Branch checklist that's been completed, and other renderings and photos, and another supporting memo, supporting materials entry. And we have opposition from number 20. We have an opposition letter. The speaker, we do have 3 on this application. The applicant, or the agent for the applicant, is Pamela Pan. We'll hear from her first. And then we have the neighbor, represented for the neighbor at 18, who wrote the letter, I believe. And we have another area resident represented by William Cardiff. They're unable to attend. That's Karen Tulk. So let's hear.
Mr. Chair, members, I want to let everyone know. I want to let everyone know that everyone is present on the call today.
Okay, thank you, Adam, for confirming that. That's good to do after or even before I say who's on the line. Maybe you can interject on those. Okay, works well. Okay, so welcome, Pamela. Pamela Pan is the,
Good morning, Ms. Chair and members of committee.
good morning. So perhaps we can have a short presentation from you. I see you have filed revised plans and revised to reduce the variance for the floor space index. You took it down to 0.5 from 0.53.
Yes, and so I would like to give a brief introduction of this proposal and also the property.
Yeah, perhaps we can get your staff the members can put up your supporting material, your renderings, the first supporting material.
Yes.
You also have a checklist, but and I note that the people from the Long Branch Neighborhood Association are not here in opposition. So let's put up your, there you go. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
The current, the property, there is an existing dwelling and it has been vacant for years. And the current property owner, my client, they have bought this property and for a little bit more than a year, and they could not really get anyone or themselves live there because the insurance company would not give insurance, and it is really inhabitable. And currently they want to build a house for their family, 4 members plus a dog, and they want to do something not only to their family needs and also being a positive outcome to the neighborhood and then the neighbors. If you look at, and also that we have closely working with the city planner and Mr. Daniel, I forgot his last name. We worked closely with him, and to a point, he is satisfied. And that's why you see the notice having GFI 0.53. Now we are asking for 0.50. That is to his satisfaction. And if you could look at the page A1, the site plan, the proposal, the design proposal, we have really take into the surroundings and the neighbor's house into account. If you look at that basement walkout, has a label there, that part is recessed, is further away from property line. And also the front, because the volume, the envelope is bigger than the current adjacent neighbors. And then the front yard setback, we kind of pushed back a little bit further. If you see dotted line, and the current building, the house is a little bit further than, slightly further to the property line, front property line, than the adjacent neighbors. Now we kind of set it further back. And also that the building length is well within allowable and the height is permitted. So basically our 2 variances, one is about GFI and the front steps, because if we tried to say if we can reduce, to eliminate this variance, but because the size of the building and then the front entrance, the steps has to be properly, proportionally matching the building. And so that's why we are asking the second variance. In general, we think that these 2 variances are minor, and also the whole application meeting the 4 tests, and we are hoping to get approval from you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Pan before we hear from the neighbors? Okay, in that case, the The first neighbor is William Carta, the representative for the neighbor at 1838th Street. Welcome, sir. And also, if you could, in your presentation, I'm just looking at the survey. It looks like your client's property is right on the property line. So if you can include, perhaps that's going to come up in your comments. And I see we do have a letter. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good, good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Carta, and I'm representing Alessandra Strati and Brent Gate at 1838 Street, which is the house right next door, as you alluded to.
Right, sir. You're a professional planner or an architect or just a
well, I was a former committee member of the city of Mississauga for 20 years plus.
Okay.
And have been retired for some time, but I'm
okay
to the Strati family, and I'm doing this pro bono for them.
Okay, very nice of you, sir. Okay.
And the owners of number 1838 are objecting to this committee of adjustment application. Number one, I'll just go in sort of bullet form for you. The permitted floor space, the maximum floor space allowed is 0.35 times the area of the lot, which would be 214.6 meters square. And the applicant has revised their application, but we still believe it's excessive at 0.50 times the area of the lot at 322.99 square meter. So we feel that number one is excessive. Number two, the exterior stairway on the outside with the required setback is supposed to be under 2 meters. The proposed is 2.4, and the Stratis and the Hewitt believe that this is excessive, and they feel it could have an impact on the foundation if this house is built and the design is presented. Number three, the design. It does not reinforce the architectural features of the Long Branch neighborhood guidelines. This stands out like a sore thumb. It's a large mass, and it doesn't blend in with the existing buildings on either side, north or south of it. So we're objecting on that side. Blackout on number 3B blocks out the light. And that's expressed in the letter from the owners of the property. When the building extends beyond theirs, it blocks out their deck, their backyard, part of the backyard, and all the windows on that side of the house. We noticed that there's, next item, minimal parking. They have expressed a concern that this could be a second unit, which might be a right of the applicant at some time in the future. And the designer has indicated unit number 2 on her plan. And we don't think that that's inappropriate at this point in time. Just as a comment, and it's in the Long Branch neighborhood character guidelines, and it's at number 12. And even though we're not acting on their behalf, there's a birch tree in the front yard that should be protected under the Toronto tree protection bylaw. And Mr. Chairman, those are my comments. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carta. And I believe the neighbor at 20 said that they weren't able to attend. You'd be representing him, but I believe she is here. But I'll just point out, I didn't mention we do have a also Urban Forestry is looking for condition number 3, so they have reviewed this application. And does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carta? Mr. Kamarik?
Yeah, it was a question I was going to ask the applicant, but I kind of, since I can ask either one, I'm just curious. The issue of 0.5 coverage, neither the applicant nor the complainant is sort of giving us an idea of what's the average for that area. Do do you by any chance know sort of what typical coverages are in that area, what the approvals have been?
I can't. I believe they're excessive.
Like they're excessive based on, based on what? Like, what are you comparing it to?
The houses that are on either side, a couple of houses up, the next door neighbors.
And do you know what the coverages are on those
No,
houses?
I can't give you those numbers. I don't have those available. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I would just point out that we heard from the applicant that we have revised and changes were made to bring it from 0.53 to 0.5 at the request of community planning, and they're no longer concerned. So that's what I took it to be. But you're correct. No one has given us stats on, and again, on new builds, these obviously the 1.5 frame that's almost right on the property line that Mr. Carter's client and the one on the other side both look like they haven't yet been redeveloped. So is it an area under transition? We want to then hear not what both adjacent houses are, but what some recent rebuilds in the street or as closest proximity, what those were at. But I just took comfort from the fact that the applicant, which she'll be able to comment in her rebuttal, the community planning is not concerned. I was going to mention to Mr. Carter that the Long Branch people who are certainly not shy about coming up, and Mr. Choles, others about coming up and making deputations here, and we don't see them here on this application. So
That's very true. And can I just add something? I'm not going to ask a question, but I have gone up and down the street on Street View. It looks like it's a street in transition. There are some soldier homes there. But primarily, I think that the person that's actually opposing the application is correct in that it doesn't really, it's not the prevailing character of this particular street. So
okay,
there are a few soldier homes, but not that many.
Okay, so we still have the other neighbor and then Ms. Pan's rebuttal to hear from, but good to note. So the next speaker is Karen Tulk from 20 38th Street.
Go ahead, Karen.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's my our second time around since we were just here 2 years ago on the same property. I'd like to start with saying my name is Karen Tulk. I'm at 2038th Street. I have lived in my home for 20 years and I've been a resident of Long Branch for 30 years. The Long Branch has been a historical community. It was a cottage country type area for Toronto residents up until the 1930s. There's a lot of history in this neighborhood. You'll see that in cottage homes that still exist on Lake Promenade. You'll see a lot of small homes. My house is under 600 square feet. The house next door, I'm going to say the applicant has misrepresented their home in the photos. They have spent 2 years doing significant renovations, with the consultation of neighbors to make sure they stuck to the neighborhood character guidelines. They did a beautiful job and it looks like it fits with the community at large.
Okay.
I'd also like to say that a neighbor across the street who started with a home very much like similar to the one at number 14, he's at number 15. He spent significant time engaging with the neighbors before he conducted his build. And we supported him because we knew what was happening ahead of time. The applicant has failed to reach out to us through all of the planning process. I understand there was initially a severance application that was rejected by the city before it ever came to Committee of Adjustment. I found this out yesterday just by speaking with your clerk on the application process. So in my view, a lot of this could probably be avoided if they had actually bothered to talk to the people who would be most affected. And quite frankly, this will be a disruptive build. So it's disruptive during the building and during the demolition, during the building, and then we have to live with the end result.
Yeah,
So-
what we're concerned with, ma'am, is the end result. We're not going to,
Yes,
people have rights to
but
build
I'm
and-
just saying that.
Yeah. Everyone, when there's demolition.
Sorry, your applicant reached out to me yesterday by email last night, which I'm not sure that's appropriate, but that's neither here nor there. But that was the first time I've heard from them ever. And I've been here all this time, and I've been home for the past 3 months not working. So plenty of time to consult with us on plans.
Right.
Before getting to this point. So my issue, other than the lack of communication about, a bill that affects the rest of us, the plans for this home do not reflect the neighborhood. It's a single family home. It's got 6 bathrooms and 2 laundry rooms. That home belongs in the Kingsway or in Babby Point or Forest Hill, if you know what I mean. This is not consistent. I filmed at homes in the Bridle Path. They don't have 6 bathrooms, some of them. But anyways, the FSI, the setback at the front, by pushing that setback at the front back, it pushes the rear setback further into the backyards. We only have sunlight from the south in the backyard. There's trees along the western lot lines. There's trees on the northern lot lines of between myself and the next door neighbor. The only sunlight we get is from the south for our gardens. I recently had the expense in September of this year of having to go through a tree removal process. And all 3 large trees on my property were rotting from the inside because of insect infestation. And we're talking trees that if they fell down would have crushed my house because they were that tall. They were like 80 to 100-foot trees. I've lost all 3 of them. So now, pending clearing out of what's left in terms of stumps in the yard, I can finally plant a garden. The neighbors at number 18 have a lovely garden in the summer. And so do the previous owners of that house. And our concerns are you push this house further back into the backyard. They're talking about, the applicant's rep said they're going to take the setback from the front and push it further back. I don't want that. Keep it where it's at. And in terms of, we don't want this house going further back than the house is already at the back. It's already going to go 2 stories up. So by letting them go further back and
5 minutes,
pushing
Mr.
that
Chair.
front setback,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. I said,
You can wrap up.
we're not going to disagree that the house shouldn't be occupied. We just want this trimmed a little, moved back up to where it was on the street, and not be pushed back as many feet as it is into our backyards, basically.
Okay, thank you very much for your submission. Any of the members, anyone have any questions for Ms. Hulk? I think about 2 years ago, at the very outset, when you started speaking, you said, "Here we are again," or something. What
We
started
are.
happening?
There was the previous owner had submitted an application for severance, which was denied by the Committee of Adjustment.
Okay, it's the previous owner. Okay.
He flipped the house to the current owner.
Mhm.
My understanding from speaking to the city representative yesterday was that applicant also initially put this through as a severance, and the city planners convinced them to put it through as a single family home.
Okay. Okay, so that explains what you were referring to. Okay, so if no one has any questions for the speaker, we'll go back to Ms. Pan to respond to what what Ms. Sulk had to say and what Mr. Carta had to say with respect to number 18. So the 2 neighbors on that side.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, what about the neighbor on number 12? Are they? I guess they're not here, and they have no objection, or they're just not here. So. Anyway, please go ahead with your rebuttal, ma'am.
Yes, so I will address the concerns of the neighbors. And we did read their objection letters, and then here's my response. In terms of GFI, and on the same street, there are 2 properties had approval of committee of adjustment, and their GFI is for number 29 is 0.59, and for number 35 is 0.63. We are asking for 0.5, and also this is the recommendation of the city planner. He was very satisfied with changes. And secondly, in terms of foundation of the neighbors, in terms of foundation, the safety, I think that is regulates by the Ontario Building Code. And we will have, of course, we have to have a professional engineer to design the structure to make sure that the safety of the neighbors building. And in terms of the, the architecture character, I had several conversations with the city planner, and also we closely followed there's guidance called Long Branch Neighborhood Character Guidance. And in terms of choosing the building material, etc., I had close communication with the city planner. He was satisfied. And in terms of natural lights, the neighbor is concerned about privacy. This is what I get from the objection letter. The second floor, there are at the back, totally there are 3 bedrooms, including master suite. The rest 2 bedrooms are for their 2 kids, and the 2 bedrooms has a shared bathroom, and it is really because I have made mistake, and the bedroom supposed to be bedroom rather than bathroom, but I have corrected and submitted to the adjustment. So basically 6 bathrooms, that's not true. 1 ensuite and 1 bathroom shared. And in terms of privacy, 2 bedrooms at the back has to have some reasonable windows to have natural light. That is about quality of living, and also it is the building code. The building code requires the natural sunlight. And in terms of the second unit, again, I feel I have not done a good job in terms of labeling. At the beginning, I did a proposal. I told them, oh, you can have 2 second units. And then they said, no. Somehow the note was left behind. But clearly, our application is for single family dwelling. And I want to let the neighbor know that that's the intention. Definitely, there's no second unit in the basement. And what else? In terms of the next door neighbors house photo, I got from Google Map. It's not what I'm trying to deceive, trying to cheat or trying to do something not honest. I got the photos from Google Street View. I just want to clarify that. I think in terms of soft landscape, we are trying to maximize the soft landscape, and they want to make it green, and they are very concerned, mindful of the environment for them and for the neighbors. And in terms of the front setback is further back. There are 2 reasons. One is because the mass is bigger than the adjacent neighbors, and also they want to have a parking pad, and that would be reduce the the load of parking on the street. So basically, to us, this is what we are trying to
5
make
minutes,
it
Mr.
right,
Chair.
make it good.
Yeah, ma'am, if you can wrap up, you've reached 5-minute point for your rebuttal.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, are you finished?
Oh, I have, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let's see if anyone has any questions for you or for the neighbors, or if someone's ready to weigh in with a motion. Members, any further questions? Mr. Komorik?
Just quick question to the applicant. I just want to clarify, the existing front yard setback, I'm assuming you're going, if you weren't setting it back, you would no longer have the legal parking spot in the front. And the current situation, does it encroach in the front yard setback?
I think maybe slightly. If you see the page A1 and the dotted line is the footprint of the current.
Yeah, no, I do see
It's
that.
kind of a little bit encroached into the
Front yard setback currently.
yeah, slightly. Yes, slightly.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks.
Any other questions, or we can take it into committee for a discussion or a decision? Taylor?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion unless anyone wants to weigh in or has any further questions.
Okay, it looks like you're good.
No? Okay. Yeah, we heard a lot about the major concerns that the neighbors have about this proposal, being that the house in their view is too large and not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. Our job as a committee of adjustment is to consider not just what is in the neighborhood currently, but what the zoning bylaw allows to be built on any property. And in this case, if we take a look at the variance for the floor space index, yes, it's 50% larger than permitted, but in my view, floor space index in and of itself does not create a negative impact if there are no side yard, rear yard, or front yard variances requested. There's no building depth requested, and there's no height variance requested. And this proposal doesn't require any variances in those what I call critical impact areas. So I'm satisfied that the proposal meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to urban forestry condition number 3.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that well-reasoned, giving us reasons for that motion as well. And you was note as well, there were no other variances that triggered by that GFA. Seconder for that, or any discussion? Mr. Kumaric? Okay, no discussion. All in favor? And it looks like you have unanimous approval. The application has been approved. Thank you to Ms. Pan, and thank you to the neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, may I request a small break to try and address an IT issue we're having here in the council chambers? Our YouTube laptop keeps cutting in and out, and we want to make sure that we have everyone's faces on the YouTube stream properly.
That's important.
It is.
10:25, 10-minute break?
10-minute break, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 10-minute break would be great.
10:35.
10:35.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see you back.
All right, Mr. Chair, from our standpoint here, the chambers, I think hopefully we've resolved the problem. We'll go from there and see if we have.
Okay. Okay, so in that case, our next item is item number 2, 1621 Keel Street. It's an application to construct a new detached garage in the Committee of Adjustment. Approved variance relating to the side yard setback, porch and balcony projections, and a front yard soft landscape deficiency. And there are 3 variances. And all we have, it looks like, is a previous decision and 7 letters of support in the additional materials provided yesterday. And the speaker for this application, we only have one, is Nelson Espinola, who's the agent for the applicant. Mr. Espinola, welcome.
Yes, very good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm here as the agent for this application.
Yep. So just give us this is to be a new detached garage.
That's
when was this Yeah, so they did some additions, I guess. This is an addition or a new build back in, and when was it? We have a previous decision up on the board. This is for the garage now. Okay. So basically you have a coverage and the setback and the landscape deficiency. So members, any questions for Mr. Espinola? Sir, is there anything you'd like to advise the committee of? I don't think we need a full presentation, but anything you'd like to bring to their attention?
No, not really. I mean, my client would like to build a double car garage, and that's the reason for the excessive area on the garage. The minimum is 10%. We're going for 20, which is still under the 40 square meters, which is mostly approved in the city of Toronto.
So it's obviously a small lot, because although you trigger, an extra 10% coverage, you're not over. It's not an oversized garage. We don't have variances for the garage. Right.
That's not an oversized garage, no.
Okay. Members, any questions for Mr. Espinola? Is someone ready for a motion?
I'm good to go with the motion for some questions. I find the application meets the 4 tests, and I'm happy to move approval, no conditions.
Okay. Seconded for that motion. Thank you. All in favor? You have unanimous approval, sir. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay. Our next application is 41 the Kingsway. This is an application to construct a 1-story rear addition. There are 2 variances, both related to the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority and top of bank issues. And we have Peter Demakis is the agent or the owner of the property, and then we have a neighbor at 43 right next door. On this application, we have the TRCA. We have one memo that says no conditions from TRCA, and then we have a recommendation for a deferral from the TRCA. And it says something about that they've requested additional geotechnical information and regarding, especially given the depth and the steepness of the valley slope. And so let's hear from Mr. Demakis.
Mr. Chair, members, before we go to Peter.
I don't think. Yes.
Before we get to Peter, I want to bring to your attention that the area resident at 43 the Kingsway is not present on the call at this time.
Okay, so we only have the one speaker. Interesting. Okay, so Mr. Demakis, welcome, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And good morning. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis. It's a 1930-year-old building. It was built like 90 years ago. And what we did was basically took the template of an existing structure that's already there. And what we're asking for is a very minor variance. I'll make it very quick. No planning issues, no tree cutting, no issues with any city concerns at all. I've not heard a neighbor complaint. You've told me 43. I've never heard an issue from a neighbor. And we've kept the house completely consistent with the area. We haven't even changed the look from the street, which is really important for the Kingsway, which others change, but we really like it. All we've done is modernized it and use it for our 4 children and ourselves. It's a family home, and now we can discuss the TRCA. TRCA has no issue with the application. I've sent you an email showing you that what they have they have no issue with the application. The geotechnical was given to them a while back, 6 years. We've heard nothing from them. And basically, they have another issue with our deck, but that has nothing to do with this application. And they're using that. And we're almost at that resolution point. I think it's been 6 years. It's long enough. And so we're pretty close to resolution. And all they're asking for now is, for the first time, they responded to us 10 days ago. They were asking for a geotechnical review of some small portion of it, but this application was given, the geotechnical was given in 2017. So I think it's time we move things forward. Taxpayers aren't getting any, because obviously I get retaxed at a higher rate. This is not an issue with the city. This is a TRCA that we're working through. And I'm just suggesting that we make the application of the Committee of Adjustment, make it pending approval from TRCA. Simple stuff. No other issues. So why are we going to go back to the Committee of Adjustments in the future? And I think it'll be resolved fairly quickly.
Okay, thank you, sir. Members, any questions for Mr. Demacos? And if no questions, is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, I believe all of us take the comments of TRCA very seriously. TRCA has asked for a deferral. It's been unfortunate from the applicant's perspective that it's taking so long to resolve his, what he calls a minor issue with them. However, the latest thing we have on file is a request for deferral for TRCA. I want to honor that, and I move refusal.
Refusal or deferral?
I guess, yeah, okay, I'll move deferral, and with a reconsideration possible when we get a clean report from TRCA.
Okay, because I don't think they were asking for a refusal, were they?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. You are right.
Okay.
I'm moving deferral.
And this addition, I'm sorry, I just want to weigh in. I just want to question before I want to ask this before I second that motion. This addition is already being built. Is that correct?
Yes.
It was built without the proper permitting.
Well, I think that without the proper permitting is correct, but I can, if you want more history, I'll give you the history, because you're asking a question, and I'll give it to you. In 2016, we purchased the house. The back wall was deteriorating, and the contractor that we hired, said to us that he'd get permits and everything. We left the country to allow fight in July of 2017.
We just got cut off. We left the country to allow.
Yes. Yeah, we left. We were advised in June of 2017 that permits were in the hand by the contractor, even though the responsibility always falls with the owner, and it is my responsibility. I'm not shirking the responsibility. But in 2017, the 4-week project, they completed it, and we didn't know that there was no permits were received. We gave them credit cards, we gave them payments, we did everything. And subsequently, as soon as that occurred, my architect was made aware of it. He paid the application for a permit right away, including TRCA. We fulfilled TRCA's approval. I sent you, Adam Wills, an email that TRCA has given, that if you can take a look at it, I think it will be able to help you and understand where TRCA says, we don't have an objection. We'll give you the approval for the addition, but we want you to be able to keep the deck on the backyard. This is about a deck, nothing else other than a deck. And they've offered me to keep the deck. And I think it's important to understand, they've had this application for 6 years and they have not responded to us in 14 attempts. And then
so 20 days ago, yeah, 20. Anyway, all that background is great, but
I know
basically what's interesting to know.
Sorry, I would second it, but anyway. Go ahead.
Ms. Alderson, first of all, Ms. Alderson asked a very good question. So the fact, sir, if it's already been built,
Yes.
it's already been built and you're using it and you've been using it, how are you, I know you want to get finished with it and get your approval and get on with your life. But in terms of them asking for a deferral, you know, when something has been built, it puts back, if you're 3 months delayed, your whole build is 3 months delayed and you're
Yes.
never gonna get that 3 months back to use the property. But you got it built already, you're using it. So the risk, the damage or the downside of deferral is not the same. The only damage is you want to move on and it's done, it's finished, but you're using it. So I don't think, you know, in that case, the deferral, and I got, you said they haven't gotten back to you 6 months, but they got back to you 20 days ago. Did you call them when
6 years. 6 years, guys.
No,
6
no,
years.
but I understand 6 years, but now 20 days ago, they sent this letter, they filed this letter on this application for deferral. Did you call them up and say, what are you talking about? Or, you know, I've been after you for 6 months. Nicole Moxley signed the letter, senior planner.
All right, so, yeah, so let me give you a little look, and I understand your position, and I want to respect TRC. We're all in the same.
But I'm saying members really want to protect CR when they see wording in the memo that it's a very deep. We don't normally see that wording given the slope and the depth of the ravine. So the question is, so what? Okay, but
Well,
it
it's
already
an
is
existing-
built.
Sorry, Mr. Clark.
I think we're gonna set it off now. Laura's about to second that motion.
But I want to make sure it's on the record because it's important to be on.
What on the record, sir? Go ahead. That they haven't been that you've been after them for 6 years, and it's all about this deck, not about this one-story room.
It's about the structure, Mr. Clark. The structure has been existing since 1932. This is not like we dug down in the earth and built a new structure. It's not like we've gone into the erosion bank. It was already there. So even if I've had it there or not had it there, it would be the same issue since 1932. This is just.
Yeah.
But
you did the one, well, hold on, you did the one-story addition, so that's the new part.
The new part is
that the house was built in 1930, but the addition, when you bought the house and you had the problem you said with the back wall, you did this addition.
Yes.
And so if they're asking for a deferral to get this thing legalized, the members have, there's a motion on the floor, and I think you put it on the record, and I guess we got to move on.
Well, what's the
We'll come back.
objection? I'm asking from the city, what is the objection that you make it conditional on TRCA? Why does the city of Committee of Adjustments require me to come back when all the TRCA is saying, and I'm getting a little bit of, I'm trying to understand your position. If TRCA has to say approval, why can't you make it conditional on TRCA? You don't have any other issues. Why are we bringing it back in front of you when TRCA approves it? That way, if I'm required to go to get a judicial review, I don't understand why we yanked the city of Toronto into the lawsuit. Please tell me. I'd love to know. You tell me the
Barb, can you
reasons.
please, Barb, can you respond to that comment, please, and let's move on.
So the committee is considering a recommendation from TRCA, which they have submitted. They're asking for a deferral, and the committee has that opportunity to listen to the advice from TRCA. I mean, as much as the TRCA has maybe not given you what you're looking for, the addition, from what I can see, has been there from 2017, and this application also wasn't submitted in 6 years. So that may be a concern for the committee members. I can't speak for them, but right now we're in a motion. We have a motion from Donald Taylor to defer the application to consult with TRCA to obtain clearance from them. Do we have a seconder?
We do.
We do, Ms. Ball.
I'm
I'll just
just-
point out, yeah, these are TRCA related variances. If it was not TRC related, there are other, that's specifically, so if they're not, the members are not going to take advice of the TRCA, and they don't do it backwards the other way and approve it subject to TRCA approval when the only variances are TRCA related variances. It just doesn't work that way, sir, in the normal course. So we have a seconder for that motion.
And I do sympathize with the applicant.
Yeah. But at least, you know, now you said you haven't heard from them in 6 years, so now you heard from them 20 days ago, so you can take the ball and run with it. And as Madam Secretary Treasurer mentioned, this application wasn't filed 6 years ago, so I guess I don't know if there was an order to comply or why we're even here, but it is what it is. So we have a motion, we have a seconder. We've let you, sir, go on the record with what you've had to say, so that is hopefully satisfies you. All in favor of the motion to defer? It's unanimous, or is it unanimous? Okay, it's unanimous, and thank you. We'll see you here again. Okay, our next application is item number 4, 9 Ravenel Street. It's an application. We again have a revised, seems like a lot of them today, which is good, means people are making changes as they go through the application process. So we have a revised notice. There were 4 variances, there are now 3. They've eliminated the length. We have just the revised plans, nothing else on file. And the additional materials, transportation, which seemed to be late with a lot of their reports this week, they have no objection. So the speaker is Rock Kim. Mr. King, welcome.
Hello, this is Rock. On behalf of the owner of the 9 Ravenel Street.
Okay, thank you, sir. So doesn't appear to be anything, any issues here. Would you like to advise the committee members? I don't think we need a presentation. Anything you'd like to advise the members before I see if they have any questions for you?
Okay.
Do you want to advise anything, nothing to advise them of?
No, just let me know if you have any questions and then.
Okay. Members, any questions for Mr. Kim, or is someone ready for a motion? And I can't have a visual on everyone. There we go. Not yet. Okay, no hands up anyway. So no questions, or is someone ready for a motion?
I'm good with the motion if there's no questions. I believe the application is minor, meets the 4 tests. I'd like to move approval as revised, no conditions.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that? Mr. Taylor, thank you. All in favor? Everyone's hand went up. It's unanimous. You have your approval, Mr. Kim. Thanks so much. We'll see you here again.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our next application, item 5, was deferred. So item number 6 is 22 Cochrane Court. We have again revised plans on this. Dated the March 15th. So pursuant to a waiver, there were 6 variances. 2, we still have 6. 2 of those have been revised. The purpose of this application to construct a 2-story rear addition, a 2nd-story front and rear addition above the existing dwelling, a new front porch, and a new detached garage in the rear yard. And we have the revised plans and zoning waiver. We have the applicant's revisions, supporting material, photos, and we have planning asking for a condition of approval. And yeah, apparently the size of the transportation has no objection. There are 5 letters of support. And I believe that the following revisions made by the applicant, they still have concerns, or they're asking for that following the revisions. Okay, that was what my notes said. So committee planning wants to tie it to the plans. Speaker for this application is Bruno Lopez. Welcome, Mr. Lopez. Oh, there's also an urban forestry condition 2, and we have an additional letter of support from Forlomo Road and the additional materials. So welcome, Mr. Lopez. Adam, is Mr. Lopez on the line?
Mr. Chair, members, Bruno is present and unmuted. Though, with that being said, I did have a note that we were having some connectivity problems earlier, and I did suggest they log out and log back in to authorize the use of their microphone during the microphone check. I'm not sure they did.
Yep. Sorry, I missed you guys for a second.
Bruno, you're there. Great.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Okay. Welcome, Mr. Lopez.
Yes. Good morning again. So I was following the prompt. So this is a very straightforward application. Again, I was here a couple of weeks ago for number 26, and I call it this a gated community. So we work with the neighborhood. So that's why we have all the 6 neighbors in support. We try to mimic this little cottage country within the city. The problem we had was the garage, and yes, we had discussions with planning. If you can see from the plans, actually the next door neighbor has the exact same garage. Very unfortunately, that garage was approved a few years ago under different bylaws. So they were allowed to have a slightly, let's call it, bigger garage. One minor issue that we have as well is that we have a little shed existing that we want to keep. So again, we work with planning. Planning was satisfied. The entire neighborhood is satisfied. So everybody's in support of this application. So I think that's about it. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, and the planning report, sir, indicates that you did make these changes. And they're satisfied with that as well as their condition of tying it to the plans with respect to the main wall height, side exterior main wall height. So members, any questions for Mr. Lopez, or is someone ready to weigh in with the motion? And we do have the letters of support as well. Mr. Kimura?
Yeah, I'm good to go with the motion. I'm satisfied that we're meeting the 4 tests and it's a desirable development. I'd like to move approval as revised, subject to the planning condition tying it to the March 15th drawings relating to the side wall height, and also planning condition 2 related to private tree.
Okay. Motion? Ms. Reddick, thank you. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. You have your approval, Mr. Lopez.
Thank
We'll
you
see
very
again.
much. Good morning.
Okay. Next application, item number 7, 99.
Sorry,
13.
Mr. Komorik, that was just the planning condition or forestry as well?
You said forestry.
Yeah,
Number
forestry
2.
condition
Okay,
2.
thank you. Sorry, I missed it.
Okay, so 99 13th Street, we have a revised again application on pursuant to a waiver. There were 2 conditions. They both, 2 variances rather, they've both been revised. We have an applicant's presentation and we have the revised plans and waiver. And Urban Forestry is looking for conditions 2 and 3. Speaker is Ida Evangelista. Welcome, Mrs. Evangelista.
Hi. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Hi. My apologies. I'm just having some technical difficulties. Just give me 1 second. Sorry.
Okay.
My apologies.
Ida, would you like to stand your item down for a moment?
No, I'm good to go. I just want, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Ida.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. So
we'll put your, you'll put your presentation up on the board.
awesome. And here I am. Okay. I think that's even better, right? You can hear me a lot clearer now? Okay.
Yeah.
So Ida Evangelista, 53 Bentworth Avenue, on behalf of the owners of 99 13th Street. So I want to just confirm that you have, I am seeing that it has been revised. We have revised the variance 1 and variance 2. We had conversations with planning staff. This particular home is a gutterless system. So that main wall height is taken to the top of the gutterless system. We have no overall height. We have no length, no side yard setbacks. Our FSI is 0.75. However, the FSI for the first floor is 0.38, well below, well below that point, even 0.40, 0.45. You'll notice from the submission, this is an area, it's an eclectic area. We have towns about 4 doors away. We have behind, like literally right in the backyard. If you see on my submission, you'll see photos of the backyard and the views right behind us. You'll see that there are triplexes, low-rise apartments. So again, and this is an area, the homes and the properties that have structures, dwellings, buildings, they have a main wall and they have shallow roofs. So what we're proposing here, I don't believe strays from the character of the neighborhood. You know, albeit there are some bungalows. Again, it is an eclectic area, and we have worked with planning. I have not received any opposition, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Evangelista. So just while I'm looking at this, I just noticed it is a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, and echoing what Mr. Taylor said earlier, to a very good point. When you have an FSI or a GFA variance, but on a new build and nothing else, that's something. There's no height, there's no side yards, there's no front yard or backyard, no height, no length. There's just the height, and as you explained, the exterior main wall height with the gutterless system and the JFA of. Which I assume is reasonable as well. So anyone have any questions? There are no other speakers or letters of objection. Any questions for Mrs. Evangelista? Mr. Kimura?
Just a question. Forestry had actually asked for a deferral on this item. I just wanted to find out if you've resolved whatever issues they had.
Forestry asked for a deferral. Can you just bear with me for 1 second?
I see condition 2 and 3.
I don't see a deferral through you, Mr. Chair. I don't see a deferral. I do see that they want us to comply with numbers 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay, it could be my mistake.
Yes.
I'm trying to find that myself right now. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. My heart sank a little bit there, but we're all good.
I don't see where there's a deferral stand.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I probably put the note in the wrong spot. Okay.
No worries.
Oh, you know what? That's on item number 8. That was on 8. I have that in my note for 8 that we just deferred. It was March 3rd.
Yeah. I wrote it in the wrong spot. Sorry about that.
But I do understand, appreciate. We will have forestry conditions, which we're totally okay with.
I sometimes put in the wrong spots, but we had a lot of comments on number 8, but that one got deferred. Okay, so any other questions for the agent, or is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion with respect to revised agenda page dated March 16th, 2023. And I find the requested variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Thank you. Seconder Mr. Taylor's motion. Ms. Alderson, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mrs. Evangelista. We'll see you again.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Okay, so 8 and 9. 8 has been deferred, 9 has been withdrawn, so we'll hop on over to item number 10, which is 1 Moncrief Drive, application to create a second residential unit in the basement and to convert the existing carport into an attached garage. There's only one variance, length variance of looks like just slightly over. We have a objection from item number 7, Glenn Thorne, which says is next door. And in the additional materials, we have revised plans, and that's all we have. Speaker is Thibault Ling Pham.
Mr. Chair, before we go to the speaker, I want to bring to everyone's attention, there is an area resident on the call, and for you folks, it's on the other side of the sheet.
Oh, it's on the other side of the sheet. Okay, yeah, that does that every time. Yeah, the neighbor is the one who wrote in from 7 Genthorne. So we'll hear from the neighbor speaking on behalf of his father. Okay, so let's hear first from the homeowner.
Mr. Chair, members, the homeowner wanted to be on screen for their presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and make them a panelist now.
Thank you.
Thibault Lim Pham, you can go ahead now and start your video by pressing the Start Video button, and I will go ahead and
there we go.
And you are unmuted as well, so go ahead with your presentation. And again, like I said,
we have photos. Yeah, we have photos as well that were submitted as part of our package. So we'll have those photos available. It looks like they've been highlighted. Someone's used a blue highlighter or pen to highlight some things. So we'll put that up if you want. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of committee. My name is Tị Bội Linh Phạn. I'm the owner of One Moncrief Drive. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak to you regarding my application to create a secondary residential unit in the basement and converting the existing carport to be an attached garage. So once we build a wall to the back of the current carport, the total building length of my house will be 18.02 meter, which is slightly longer than the maximum permitted building length under the bylaw. My intention is just try to of this renovation, try to improve the condition of my house. Yes, that is the existing carport from the side yard view you see there. So I'm only planning to build and renovate within the current frame of the house. I'm not doing any addition, building up, or changing the outside frame of the house. The final output of this renovation will be keeping in line with the character of the neighborhood. I also believe that by adding a wall to the back of the carport, it will further reduce the noise from my driveway and the carport to the neighbor at 7 Ganthorne Avenue, who have put in the letter of objection. And also this wall will provide more privacy to both my house and theirs. I submitted a revised site plan because I realized that there was 2 small mistakes on the first page of the site plan. Could you please pull up the material? Or can I just speak about it?
Yeah, I'd like to see that's in the additional material. So when we see that's the neighbor's garage at number 7 who's going to be speaking when we look at your photos. That's the neighbor's garage, correct? And
No.
Yeah. This is your
this is mine.
this is a new plan. Yeah. Can we make it a little larger? Yeah.
So the changes only to the first page of the site plan. There was a typo. It said the address is 1 Moncrief Drive, Hamilton, where it should have been set as 1 Moncrief Drive, Etobicoke. And the second small mistake is where the garage label is. As you see highlighted in the revised plan that it say that side yard remain as is. So the garage will be constructed where the existing carport is, which is on the far left of the building, where you see there's a triangle with number 1 to it. So I'm not planning to building garage in the side yard. So this is the side yard, but on the left of my house.
Well, can you explain what your blue circles are?
Oh, those are just small trees. I was asked by the application technician that I need to highlight all the trees on the property, regardless of the size. So I want to highlight all the trees, and I want to bring out to attention that none of the tree will be hurt during the renovation. We just basically adding a wall to the back of the carport and a garage door to the front, and then fixing the basement to become a legal basement unit.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions for the homeowner applicant before we hear from the neighbor? And then you'll have a chance to respond to what your neighbor has to say as well. Okay. Okay, in that case, let's hear from, and it's always on the next page, that's why I haven't seen it. The neighbor is Seville Tankrikulu at 7 Genhorn Avenue, right next door.
Hey, good morning, Chair and committee members. Can everybody hear me clearly?
We're getting a bit of an echo. Do you have a second device open?
No. Can you hear me? No, I don't have a second device. Hold on 1 second. My apologies.
Slight echo. It's not like it's sometimes when it's reverberating, it's just a slight. So I think it's probably okay. If let's try to.
All right.
Okay, you can get your letter up on the board as well. If you want your letter up, all your speaking.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, members, I do see they are logged in twice actually, so I'll go ahead and expel one of the accounts.
Yes, please. Silahattin Tanrikulu. That's my father's computer, but I'm on my phone.
I think we've expelled it and we've resolved the feedback issue now.
Thank you. Great.
Hello?
Okay. Yep. We're all good now. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello. We can hear you.
Benim telefonda.
Hello.
Mr. Chair, members, the area resident is unmuted and we can hear them.
No, hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Beni remove yaptılar meeting'e.
Mr. Chair, members, do we want to stand this one down and try and
Hello?
get the area resident properly connected?
Yeah, maybe the
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my apologies. There was a technical error there. Sorry about that. Okay, so good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Seville Tanrikulu, and I am the daughter of Selahattin and Aysel Tanrikulu, who reside right next door to 1 Moncrief Drive, 7 Genthorne Avenue. This is our family residence, and we've been living here for over 40 years. And I would like to thank the owner, The Boylin Fam, for revising the plans, because in my letter I had outlined the questions regarding the garage in the front yard and the Hamilton issue, but that was already clarified. I would like to first of all state that this community is a single family home dwelling. The Boylin Fam does not reside and has never resided at this property from our observation. They are using this property for commercial rental property. There are a number of different individuals coming in and out of the house at all hours of the time. I believe they are renters. It is my understanding, because of the current state of the house, that the owner and / agent wants to build a residential unit, basement residential unit, in order to increase the number of individuals that they can rent to. This has affected our quality of living, particularly in the summer months. There is noise and excessive hours of the morning. For example,
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can you just interrupt for a second? I'd like you to go on a little bit about this issue. At committee, we deal with planning issues. We deal with the built form. The fact that, issues of unkempt and garbage and.
Yep, not a problem.
Renting is not a crime.
Yes, it's not. However, what we would like in order
Just
to.
saying, I want to hear concerns from you on behalf of your father about the built form of them taking this carport adjacent to your garage and building that garage and where it is, but not with respect to the issues of, people or, unruly neighbor, renting people, and the fact that they're going to add an additional unit. I understand this additional unit that legally is permitted as of right. So we have the one variance before us, which is the length, I believe, is
So
that
if
just hold on. That's what you're to concern of, tell us about. The fact that they're going to be building this additional carport into an attached garage. And it's made the house cannot comply by 1 meter, in length. Okay, I'd let you go on and tell us some of your concerns, and I understand there's perhaps health implications, but that's not something that's before us here. We're dealing with the build form and the planning issues. Okay, so continue. We stopped the clock. We'll now start it again. Okay.
Thank you. All I'm requesting, that I do understand the legal rights of the owner and the fact that they have the right to use this property as a income property.
Yeah.
However, we are requesting as a family to have an opaque fence built from the base of our backyard to Genthorne Avenue in order so that we are not affected by and we don't see the individuals coming in and out of that side entrance door. So we were asking from the base of our backyard to the end of the to the start of the house, the front yard, a 6-foot fence, opaque, and then reduced to from the base of the front yard to the sidewalk of Genthorne Avenue to 3 feet, so that when we are reversing to onto Genthorne Avenue, we have visibility to the street.
Oh, okay.
So we are requesting an opaque fence.
So somehow you were requesting as a condition of them getting approval to build this, that they add a fence that they pay for on their property. And that you want it all, and again, assuming that it can't be on the city property, you're saying in terms of the view.
Yeah, so
But had you discussed this at all with your neighbor? Had you
we
ever
had
discussed
discussed
this?
that and they refused, and they
okay.
said that that is not their priority at the moment. So right now this was way before.
And what would be the benefit, sorry ma'am, what would be the benefit of this fence? And the fact you're not willing to pay half, you didn't offer to pay half of this fence, right?
Yes,
You
we
wanted
did.
That. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
But
and
they don't
refused.
want it. Okay, they refused. Okay, you didn't make it clear that you had offered to pay half.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you
Yes.
for clarifying that, okay? That's an important consideration, but I don't know whether this is, city planning imposes conditions. I don't know if we really impose conditions requested by neighbors if they're not germane to the variance at play. Anyway, we'll see if committee members have any questions for you. I didn't cut you, or were you finished, or did I think you had finished what you wanted to say, ma'am?
We just wanted opaque fence to be built on the proper property line so that it's not infringing on anybody's property, on our property. And we just want to be able to reduce the number of individuals for the quality of our living, because our front door and our driveway do face that main door that individuals will be coming in and out of. And that's all that we are requesting. And I feel that this is reasonable.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted you to clarify to what the committee listens to in terms of planning concerns as opposed to, bad actors and things like that.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Tanner Kulu?
I just have a quick question. So essentially what you're asking for is an extended privacy screen. I mean, we deal with those all the time, but this is a privacy fence that you're asking for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I have a question of staff. I don't think this is within our purview to make this a condition of approval, but perhaps the staff can help me with this.
Fencing between the properties is a civil matter between the two parties. So if one party doesn't want to pay for the fence and the other one wants it, they would have to install it themselves.
Okay. And just one more thing, that if you are having issues of cleanliness or unkeptness, that is a matter for property standards, but I think the chair touched on that already.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion that if they have problems, I didn't suggest that. So thank you, Ms. Alderson.
Sorry, I thought you did.
Yeah,
I was giving you all that credit. Yes, property standards would be the place to go for that in terms of, all of those concerns that you've noted.
Would it be possible to ask the owner, Thibault Linfem, if they would be willing to cooperate with us regarding this fence and go?
It's not as I suggested, and then as the chair, as the secretary treasurer can matter. It has nothing to do with this approval or something that the city. We normally oppose them, as Ms. Alderson said, on second floor balconies. But this is a privacy fence, and the imposition is a civil matter between the neighbors and not something that would be before the committee as a part of a approval of this particular application. Okay, so anyway, we have to go back to the homeowner for her rebuttal, even though we've been rebutting on her behalf, so we're just explaining the situation. Mr. Kumar?
I just wanted to clarify and sympathize with the neighbor. Currently, is a chain link I'm looking at Google Street View, and I understand the other property is very close to yours. I mean, this would normally be a setback issue, but it's an existing situation. So, is there existing chain link fence? Is that what's there now?
Yes, there's an existing chain link fence that is,
Okay,
I don't know, I don't know when it was built and how it was built, and
doesn't matter. I just, that's what's there now. And I think what you're looking for is that section that separates your driveway from their house to be a solid fence, basically. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to the homeowner for her rebuttal.
Mr. Chair, members, I've made them a panelist so they can go ahead and start their video if they'd like again.
Yeah, I'd like to address the concern that the neighbor have brought up. So all these are new to us. They have never approached us to talk about all the noise complaint, the garbage, the issue with our tenants. And we have been, like my brother and I have been over to the one on Creep Drive multiple times. We saw the husband, and none of the issue was brought up to us. I actually was blindsided by this letter of objection. I even called 311 to confirm if there's any open investigation on the issue. If they have any proof, like video picture that showing the misdeed, or they have any other verifiable proof, I ask that they provide to me so that I can go back and correct the matters. And I assure the committee that after this renovation, we also not only will do the legal basement, converting the carport to garage, but we also upgrading the main floor so that my family and I can move into the property to the main floor. So by us living there, we can have better control of the cleanliness, the noise level of the house. And if they have any issue, please feel free to approach us and let us know, because have I known about this issue sooner, I could have sit down with my tenants and address the issue and try to remedy it. And I also want to bring up the matter that based on the Toronto Municipal Code Chapter 447, it's dictated that I am obligated to put up open fence to a maximum height of 2 meters for at least 2.4 meters from the start of my lot line, because this fence is 2.4 meters from the neighbor's driveway. So the request made in the objection letter for an opaque fence from the back of their yard to the entire length of my house, it isn't compliant with this Toronto Municipal Code. So I'm honestly, I believe that the variance I'm asking for comply with the 4 tasks of the Planning Act. And I sincerely hope that the committees will provide me approval for my construction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, like we handle this fact, we have one variance, 1 meter length variance before us, 1.02 meter to be exact. Okay, members, any further follow-up questions, or either the homeowner or the next door neighbor, or is someone ready to weigh in with a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, again, we're considering the planning merits of the proposed built form. There's really only one variance here. As Mr. Chair pointed out, it's just over 1 meter. And in fact, I noticed on the survey that the existing building is actually 17.97 meters. So this is clearly a very minor variance. I move approval without conditions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Seconded for Mr. Taylor's motion, Ms. Alderson. Okay, all in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, and thank you to the neighbor. And You have your application has been granted. Okay, item number 11 has been deferred, so on to number 12, 3 Lambton Avenue. It's an application to permit 2 secondary suites. There are 3 variances. We have a previous decision from April 29, 2001 for the new detached dwelling and attached garage, which I assume was built. They're now looking for 2 secondary suites. There are 3 variances. 2 of them appear to be related to the entry to the secondary suite being in the front wall, which is not normally permitted. And as well, the third variance is with respect to the overall size of the secondary suite in relation to the size of the main suite. Those are the 3 variances we have before us. That's all we have. We only have the previous decision. We don't seem to have any comments from any city departments or neighbors. The speaker is Angus Skeen. Mr. Skeen?
Yes, hi, I'm Angus Skeen. I'm the architect and agent, 142 Glendale Avenue, Toronto, M6R2T2.
Okay, thank you, sir. So what's you built this house, or your clients built this house in 2021. They now want 2 secondary suites. No one has weighed in here.
Yeah, that's correct. I was actually thinking you gave a good enough introduction to the application. You were quite succinct. It's a case of installing 2 secondary suites with very limited impact to the exterior. There's no comment from any city department or any neighbors. So I'd like to think that sort of speaks for itself. I'm happy to explain the variances. Some of them can get a little weird.
Yeah, okay, let's see if members have any questions for you. I guess the issue is with respect to the front wall in some areas of the city. They really, they send a refusal letter saying they don't want the secondary entrance and another entrance in the front, 2 doors in the front or 3 doors. I don't know what's proposed here, but those are your first 2 variances. So they don't seem to be concerned for some reason, nor does anyone else. Members, any questions?
I'm more than happy to speak. I just don't want to take up your time if it's unnecessary.
Just have a question. There's a survey that was submitted, which I don't think reflects the current situation.
That's correct. In fact, what happened was the survey you have is from the initial application for the new house. And subsequently, I would hope it's in the file. I emailed in when the new house was built, they do the stakeout survey. So there should be in your file the stakeout survey that shows the dwelling, the footprint of the dwelling as it exists today. So you might want to look in the file there, or
Yeah, I
guess I
have
can't.
only the site plan, which reflects the current situation. I don't have a survey.
Oh, okay. Because I do remember that was something when I made the application. I sent the old one in at first, and then I sent the other one as a follow-up. The site plan that I drew, like as the architect or whatever, is accurate. The building hasn't moved from the initial permit application and the initial committee hearing for the detached dwelling, if that helps.
I appreciate that. It's just the survey is a legal document reflecting what's there. And my understanding is that when you're making an application, you have to submit legal confirmation of what is actually there. It's really, maybe it's a question for staff as to whether we're okay without that.
I'm not sure why it wasn't added to the file, members. I have sent it to the presenter. So hopefully they'll be able to share that with you.
So you do have an update?
We do have it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair and members, if you'd like to see it, we'll look to get it up on the screen.
No, that's okay. As long as you have it, I just wanted to confirm that we have a complete file.
I do have a question for the architect. Because there seems to be some issue with the front, particularly with the front entrance point, will there be some softscaping or landscaping to mitigate that? Like, how are you going to approach that?
Yeah, if I could answer, I was on a hearing yesterday and my internet was quite patchy. So right now I was seeing the last application up. So I don't know if I'm lagging here, but if someone could bring up the actual plans, I could walk you through the extent of these changes. And I think you'll see that they're quite minor. So if someone could click through to the first floor plan would be good. So just go in a couple of pages. Not that one, that's the site plan. That's the basement. So the next page should do the trick, I would think. if you can zoom in, sort of in the upper left-hand corner is the entry porch to this detached house. So if you go into there, what's going on is that thing that says open porch right there.
Mhm.
That on the initial application for the house was a closed-in porch. In other words, you would have come up the stairs, as you can see, you'd come from the left side of the page, up some steps to an open porch. You're open to the sky. There would have been like a door in front of you that you would open, and you would go into a kind of vestibule where you could go upstairs or into the first floor. So the extent of this application is to remove that door that's between the unroofed or the porch out, the porch at the top of the stairs and that vestibule. So it all becomes an exterior porch. So there's nothing going on at the ground level, if that makes any sense. It's simply by removing that door, that triggers two variances under the section 150, one of which is, hey, wait a minute, you're removing that thing for building code reasons that have to do with exiting, but it creates a situation where the new secondary suite, which is on the second floor, that change is made to accommodate the new secondary suite's building code requirement for an exit to the exterior, and that triggers the 150 clause regarding the door facing the street is not permitted for a secondary suite. And it also triggers the 150 clause that has to do with messing around with the front wall of a house to create a secondary suite. So, but it really is just the removal almost of a door. I don't know if I've been that clear in the explanation, but there's no soft landscaping implication because it's just happening at the porch level, if that makes sense.
Sort of. Yeah, I get it.
It's a bit
I mean,
long-winded.
I'm looking at Street View, and it looks like a great design from what I can see of it. So I'm sorry there isn't a rendering of what it looks like now, but anyway, it looks great.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Skeen, or is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Komorak?
I'm good with the motion. Actually, that was really helpful because it addresses the issue that it really does fit the character of the street. I'd like to move approval, actually with no conditions.
Okay, thank you. Seconded for that, Ms. Alderson. Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. You have your approval, Mr. Skeen. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, next application is item number 13, 159 Van Dusen Boulevard. It's to construct attached dwelling with an attached garage, another one of those. We have revised agenda page dated March the 6th showing changes highlighted. We have one revision. There were 6 variances. There still are. The coverage variance has been reduced from 39 to 38%. That is the only change we have. We have a cover letter. Planning is looking for a condition of approval to construct as illustrated regarding the front yard setback. And forestry is looking to deny variances 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So they're looking for urban forestry condition 5, a refusal. In the additional materials, we have a memo from transportation. And the speaker is Emilio Conde, the agent for the applicant.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Emilio Conde. I am acting as an agent representing the owner of 159 Van Dusen Boulevard. We are aware of the condition from transportation regarding the driveway size to be reduced to 3.84 meters. And we are also aware of forestry department concern and refusal of our application. However, we do not know the health conditions of the trees that forestry refers to. And since we got the memo from forestry less than a week ago, we have not been able to reach out to them and clarify what the steps are needed in order to solve that.
So are you looking for, do you think you need to have a deferral? Because I guess they're concerned your variance with respect to the coverage, I guess you took it down by 1%, but it's still 38 as opposed to 33. Now, forestry is only allowed to complain or to argue that if it's the amount in variance that has been affecting the trees in question. If in fact the as of right build would also affect the tree, that is certainly a defense. That if you even built, what was permitted as of right, the tree would be affected. But you haven't done an arborist report or dealt with forestry to see which trees can be protected or which trees can't be protected, or where the root system is. You haven't done any of that. This came as a bit, I guess, a surprise to you, or wasn't part of your normal preparation of getting an arborist report and decide which trees have to go and which trees can remain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From our understanding of the application, we are aware of the two trees that are abutting in the property, one being a city-owned tree and the other being a private-owned tree. However, due to the design of the home, we are staying within existing setbacks, and demolition of the existing structure will affect the front yard tree, being whatever the development we plan for. If we are able to see our floor plans, can someone show our site plan or proposed site plan?
We'll have it up in a moment.
Thank you. Or actually the existing site plan, just to depict what's going on site. That will be it. Yeah. So from my understanding, the front tree being located on the front yard of the property, there is interlocked pathways, driveways, and the tree in diameter is about 0.9 or 1 meter. So regardless of whatever type of construction we propose on site, that front tree, it's gonna get affected. And the other concern is the back tree on the right side of the site plan. Even if we push the house backwards, that tree will also get affected. So we are really being restricted on how much we can develop on site. And we are taking into consideration our clients' needs that are to be able to house more individuals in the lot, in the proposed development.
Okay, so also if we could perhaps for members, I see in the city memo dated March we have 2 pictures of the trees as well to go put the pictures along with the showing it on the site plan. And again, you only received that memo on March the 10th, so. But I take it you would have been aware of what, that in terms of being proactive. Anyway, let's see if members have any questions for you. Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I sort of lost what you were saying there. We do have a freestanding memo on this file from Urban Forestry dated March 10th.
Yeah, I'd asked them to put that up on the board.
Okay.
Showing the
That offers the fallback of condition 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They state it twice.
Isn't there a fallback of 1 and 2 on that one?
I don't see 1.
I don't see one.
Wow.
I see the same condition twice, privately owned tree.
Yeah, we have a publicly owned tree in the front, the red oak, 102 centimeters, shown in the picture that I asked to show up on that standalone memo.
Yeah.
And the agent is saying that tree will be protected, but you're saying there's a fallback of conditions 1 and 2. Okay.
Forestry doesn't mention the city-owned tree.
Forestry mentioned condition 2 twice for some reason, and no mention of
Exactly.
condition 1.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yet there is a city tree involved here.
But they don't mention it.
Are we still trying to get that memo up? Because that memo mentions tree number 1 and tree number 2, right? That being a city-owned red oak and then the maple in the back. And they give nice pictures of both trees. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
in the standalone memo, which you said has the fallback. Okay, so any other questions for Mr. Conde, or some ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied that the variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I move approval subject to the community planning condition and urban forestry condition 2.
Don't you need condition 1 as well?
I don't see condition 1 requested in the March 10th freestanding memo.
No, as a refusal. Because of this.
Yeah, yes. They waxed eloquent on refusals, but then they say, in the event the committee wants to proceed, we recommend condition 2. And they say that twice.
Okay. So that's your motion?
Yep.
Okay. Seconder for that motion?
So we can't add number 1, just as a safeguard?
You can.
I would like to make that friendly amendment if I could, because I think because they've asked for a refusal in the first place, I mean, I think they're asking for us to refuse all kinds of variances, and then I don't know. I think that just to be safe, I'd rather add number.
I will accept that, and I'm going to assume, I may be wrong, but I'm going to assume that urban forestry intended to impose conditions 1 and 2. And they made a typo and requested 2 twice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm happy to make the approval.
Okay. Then I will make that friendly amendment and second that.
accept that. I accept that.
That's the prudent thing to do. Thank you. Okay, so we have
Nothing if not prudent.
on the revised motion. All in favor? It's unanimous. You have your approval. Thank you, Mr. Conde.
So that was with planning and forestry 1 and 2? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
And what about the transportation condition?
Yeah, the transportation condition was. In all the excitement, you forgot to mention the transportation. So can we throw that in?
Obviously not prudent enough.
You're muted, Don.
I can make that. I mean, I can do the friendly amendment on that too as well. So the transportation condition, if that's all right. Is that okay?
I accept that as well.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, I'll now vote on the revised motion. Okay, we're good. Mr. Skeen, you're following, Mr. Conde, you're following along? You have your conditions from planning, transportation, and the 2 from urban forestry. Okay, so item 14 has been deferred, so we move on to item number 15, 342 Melrose Street. It's an application for a detached dwelling with an attached garage. And there are 3 variances, and we have a memo from transportation and the additional materials, and nothing else on file other than urban forestry condition 2. The speaker for this application is Raid Al-Ra.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Raid Rawi from Professional Floor Plans, 4183 Loyalist Drive, Mississauga, Ontario, L5L3W3. We are the designers and the agent on behalf of the owner, Gregory.
Okay, so it looks like you got 3 variances here. And other than urban forestry condition number 2, we have no comments from neighbors or from planning or anybody else other than transportation.
And the transportation, they are recommending approval for the application.
Okay, so anything you'd like to advise the committee members of?
If I could just add, urban forestry has a condition 2, I believe,
Yeah.
number 2.
Yes, condition to apply for a removal of 1 tree.
Yeah, we did mention that. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
So any members have any questions? I don't think we need a fulsome presentation from Mr. Al-Rawi. And there's no concerns other than that. It looks a pretty high coverage, 39%. Is that typical for the area or a small lot?
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that we have a state-of-the-art garage. The owner built it, he's been living there since the 90s, and he has a state-of-the-art garage he doesn't want to take out. And I've been there, and he has lots of nice things there. So it's worth applying for a minor variance. This was the only reason we went through the variance to keep the existing garage as is. The house itself is being considered that the floor area ratio looks higher, but because it's a detached garage, so we don't deduct the parking. If we deduct it, we don't have variance at all.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Rob Ravi? Okay, and if not, is someone ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I find the application to be minor and meeting the 4 tests. I'd like to move approval subject to forestry condition 2.
Okay. Thank you. Seconder for that. Everyone's hand lit up at the same time. Thanks, Sophia Reddick. All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, sir. You have your application has been approved. Okay, our next application is item number 16, 5 Alderton Court. And this is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. We have a yellow highlighted revision page dated March the 14th. There were 9 variances. There are now 5. 2 of those have been revised. Urban Forestry is looking for a refusal. And we have the revised plans and zoning waiver. We have a previous decision from January 21st, 2021. And the minutes, and that was approved on a split decision. It looks like I guess it wasn't built. And then we have the applicant's revisions in an email, an arborist report. Planning is asking for a condition of approval. The construct is illustrated as set out therein. Urban Forestry is looking to deny several of the variances, some which have been removed. And the speaker is George Lolos, and we have the neighbor from 17 Hartfield on the line on this application as well.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to confirm that the area resident is present on the call at this time.
Okay. Okay, so let's hear first from Giorgio Lolos.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me, sir?
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, members of committee and committee staff. My name is Giorgio Lolos, 220 Duncan Mills Road. I'm going to try to recap the process of elimination. Back in January 21st, 21, this application was in front of committee with a number of variances. Collectively, it got a notice of decision. And what happened then was, once we get the notice of decision, we applied for a zoning certificate. I was submitted for building permit. Upon our building permit submission, and we got comments back from the zoning examiner saying these items don't comply. Additional variances that were added to the application of a building permit that we didn't realize because it was missed prior to the zoning review. Since then, we have had 2 other zoning examiners deal with this application. One of them is well seasoned within the area, thus ending up with the number of variants that we have listed on the second notice decision. Dealing with planning, we've managed to sort of understand and recognize planning's only concern was that the building depth that it recognizes at a large section of almost 23.6 meters. Again, if you actually compare the original drawings that was submitted back on 2021 and approved at that time, the envelope doesn't really change with the exception of slight minor areas. The building depth is exactly the same as we had it there. Unfortunately, during our second review, or if that's our third review of zoning, it actually got picked up by a different zoning examiner. Again, sometimes they just don't interpret the bylaws the same, therefore we're in a catch-22 situation. Thus, our conclusion right now is we have our waiver and we have 5 variances. But entailing though, 2 of those variances were actually approved back on 2021. For example, number 1 variance, which is the front yard setback, was actually approved back on 2021. Item number, excuse me a second, please. Item number 1, actually, same item. Number 1 was approved back in 2021. The same variance, same request. And again, I think from a personal point of view, I think this is more of a technical because the lot is curved, the frontage is curved. It's measuring the closest point. But if you actually understand and recognize, if you see the site plan, if you actually take the perpendicular or the parallel line to the garage, our actually front yard setback along that area is about 14.47 meters. Again, it's not how it's interpreted, but this is what the bylaw requires. But if a sight line, it was to sort of take a view, we're actually there in a lot of ways. But again, this variance number 1 was approved back then. Also, variance number 7, which is our building height, was approved back then, which is item number 4 now on our agenda. Again, the same conditions. Again, the plans back then are identical now. They were just missed.
Yeah.
Okay. So the overall volume that we hear today is we have the additional sort of 3 variances. Again, square footage wise, item number 2, we're asking for an increase of 9%, which is 0.47 on the overall, which is maximum 0.5 allowed. Again, that takes our square footage level to 5,996 square meters. But again, the volume of the intent of the massing of the home hasn't changed. It was always there. Unfortunately, it was missed. That's what we're here today. The item number 3 was the side yard setbacks. With that, the aggregate of both side yards is 4.9 meters. We're asking for 3.85. Now, do take in consideration that the minimum required side yard setback is 1.5 meters to on one side, plus the adjacent aggregate on the other side. Our lot is it's interesting lot because it's not parallel, it's irregular. So therefore, we do have a 1.8 meter setback on the one side that I believe the neighbor abutting us will have an opinion about that. So we actually above and beyond more than the minimum required according to the bylaw. Unfortunately, we're lacking the additional aggregate on the other side because of the skewed property. Again, the overall building depth, it hasn't changed. It just got remeasured according to the new sort of zoning review. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lolos. I just
you.
want to make a point. First of all, can we get the location map on the screen? So this is, as you say, a skewed lot. And I take comfort, we're going to hear from the neighbors what their concerns are, but I take comfort between the previous application and this application. I would have some questions or concerns about what that mean with the other approval. But if you take a look at the staff report, there's a couple of very good paragraphs.
Yes.
Page which explain the situation. They conclude that the current minor variance application requests many of the same variances from the 2021 approved application. The main difference between the 2021 approved application and the current application is that the rear covered deck was not included with the building length variance. So you mentioned something was missed. Something was missed, just like you said earlier. It was just a different interpretation. We often see that, oh, they changed the examiner because the other one was off on leave and this one found something different. So there seems to be different interpretations.
Correct.
And then Diane goes on to talk about the pie-shaped lot narrowing towards the front and, being only, so they seem to be satisfied and explain that what I was concerned, the comparison of the old and the new. So we're going to hear from a neighbor and let's just see if any members have any questions before we move on to hear from your next door neighbor at number 7, Denthorn. Any questions, Stan? Did I see your hand up or you're good? Okay. So let's hear then from the neighbor at number 7, Genthorn, and as to their concern. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you this morning?
Great. So we have your believe or
yes, there's some multiple documentations from the last time and this time around also.
We have a refusal letters. I see in the additional. Oh no, that's the next application.
Nope, that's mine right there. That's
okay. So we have. Okay, yeah, we have the transportation in the additional materials, I guess. Okay, so sir, we have your letter. Let's give you a chance to make your presentation. Please explain also what you know about the previous application and this one and how they differ as to where you're concerned. Okay.
Thank you very much. And I believe I'll answer all your questions. I'd like to highlight our 100% objection to this development. The general intent and purpose of zoning is to maintain the natural environment and physical character of a geographical neighborhood. This development, note I'm saying development and not a house build, has nothing minor about the variance and it will be completely destroy the neighborhood, specifically the loss of privacy for 4 direct homes and all the homes on the court, the negative shadow impact on 3 direct homes, and that house sits 5 feet above 3 adjacent properties. Personally speaking, if the application proposal is approved, I will be looking at nothing but an apartment building a brick wall running more than the length of my entire property, and it'll be overlooked by multiple windows and balconies. I will lose my view of the sky, sunlight, and privacy, and the development will damage and destroy the natural environment of my property and that of the neighborhood, which this neighborhood is known for. Please note, as discussed earlier, this is a second round for this developer to be pushing the variance limit. Will there be a third? And there were several misrepresentations and twisting of data at the last meeting by the developer's representation, Mr. Flynn, and I can see it already happening again with the twisting of data that's in there. He is a seasoned developer. There is nothing that has been missed in the past. I believe he's completely misleading the committee here. We are asking that the application be restricted to the maximum permitted building length, depth, height of walls, overall height, soffit height, platform area by the existing original bylines, meaning overriding the previous approved variance. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Clark, your prior comments on other applications highlighted a great deal about side, height, and depth variance. If that is triggered by the GFA, that does this also. And you can tell that the forest is a refusal on this property. At the end of the day, any more increase above the maximum permitted original values would be severely negatively impacting the integrity of our entire neighborhood and go against the general intent and purpose of the city zoning. He continues to push the envelope on building homes that are not appropriate for this neighborhood and destroying the natural landscape of this neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've got a question for staff based on what you had to say, because my question is the approvals granted, you want them to go back to first principles and comply with the bylaw, but is the January 21, 2021 approval in place, and that's valid and binding, and so they could go ahead without anything that we do here today and build that, or at least build something with those variances. So that becomes the new standard. Am I correct, Madam Secretary Treasurer, that is enforced?
Yes and no. So that application was approved subject to the condition that they build substantially in accordance with the plan. So
Okay.
if a variance was missed, then they can't proceed with that proposal.
I see. Okay, so because there was that condition built in substantially in accordance with respect to either all or some of the performance or variance issues, that once they differ from that, they can't rely on those variances previously granted because they're not complying with the condition that went along with that in the approval.
Correct.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that for me anyway. So in fact, we have the comments by the neighbor then would, I guess, be relevant, or and you can't say, well, sorry, you already had got those approvals, because he's not looking to build in accordance with the condition that went along with that approval. Okay, good to know. Members, any questions for the neighbor before we go back and give the agent his chance for a rebuttal? This is okay, and no one has any questions for the neighbor? Okay, so let's go back to Mr. Willows.
I can only address a couple of things. I can't address Michael Flynn's participation in this matter and the fact of calling this a developer. The homeowner is a homeowner. This is a primary condition. It's part of one of his homes. It's rented right now. In relation to privacy and so forth, I mean, our side yard setback is abutting his rear yard setback. So we have this minimum required 7.5 meter limiting distance that I think the bylaw, or 25% of the rear yard setback, whichever is greater, which I think he has it. There's a multiple trees in the air. If you look at the satellite, there's about 3 or 4 substantial trees that are almost like acting as screening between our home and our side yard. Our windows along our side lot line, that again, we take the side yard setback requirements. We maintain the minimum setback even on the areas where we don't have windows. Our window locations are located at 2.4 meters back along the side yard setback. If you look at the site plan itself, we don't have any windows anywhere closer along the 1.8 meters. In relation to dynamics and height and shadowing, we have a very contemporary hip roof system which doesn't have a lot of impact. I can understand and recognize if we introduced a mansard style roof where we were dynamically high along the plane as maximum of 60 degrees, now not be taken into consideration as a wall. I could understand an impact of a shadow, but right now the pitch of the roof is very minor, very gentle, and sunlight is not going to sort of have any impact on that at all. Landscaping, we're doing all we can to sort of bring landscaping back up again. As a matter of fact, one of our previous variances prior to that, come back to committee, we had a landscape issue. We issued that. We have no objections in dealing with stuff like landscaping. We don't want to create a concrete jungle. Therefore, I believe it and recognize that all our applications are minor in nature. We can build a home closer to the side lot line if we wanted to. We just wouldn't comply with the aggregate. I believe that we've done everything that we can. And again, I don't understand. I didn't hear the minutes when Michael Flynn presented this application. I know he's seasoned. I know he's great, and he wouldn't have anything tactical about it. He would just present the obvious, the evidence in front of us. And I believe that what we've done now, we have actually sort of went back and actually eliminated variances from the original. We just couldn't eliminate them to go through the building permit afterwards. We were forced to come back to committee. I don't know how else to convey.
I just took a look at the planning memo, asking for the condition to keep it to your plans. And that was based on before you made the revisions, that was based on the 9 variances. You removed the last 4. So why did you?
Correct.
So why does planning not mention or have no objection, and yet you took out those 4 variances?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, when we sent our waiver to on March the 13th, we sent it to Danielle at planning at the committee division, and we also sent it to Jamil, the assistant planners. So they were both received this, but I believe the notice was sent south prior to that.
Yeah, because they always start off their memo by the second part in the application. They replicate the application. Shows the 9 variances, not the 5 variances. That was
upon Mr. Chairman, upon the discussion, we actually talked about. I talked to Janelle. We actually talked about what we want to do and so forth, and we told her we were going to make some sort of alterations accordingly. We're not here to sort of ask for stuff that we don't need. We just try to sort of maintain and respect the bylaws and respect the neighbors as well.
Okay. Anyway, I was expecting to see in the memo that we discussed, and they agreed to take out these 4 variances, and now we're happy. But they seem to be happy before you took those out. Anyway, members, any questions for either Mr. Lolos or the neighbor? It's number 17. Did we hear from the neighbor at 17? Did we hear from that neighbor?
Mr. Chair, we did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, but because the name looks weird. Okay. Usually I introduce them by their name and just looked at the name here and it looks like I haven't mentioned it, but you're right. Okay. So any members, any questions for either the neighbor or yeah, that's right, about the previous application. So the previous application is not binding on us because they're building something different and that had a condition tying it to plans. We have this application. We have the staff report, which succinctly discusses on page 2 what their position is, even based on the 9 variances. And we have the neighbor's concern. So any further questions of anyone, or is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Kumorik?
Just a brief question for the applicant. Are you trying to maintain a good portion of the existing house? Because I'm seeing on the plans, you've got indications of additions as opposed to a complete new build.
Correct. We try to maintain. Yeah, we're trying to maintain as much as possible the existing. Unfortunately, we could not maintain greater than 50% of the existing.
So it has to do with the percentage of rebuild. But
correct. Yes.
It's catching it as a new build. Okay.
Correct, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good observation, Mr. Kumorik. Okay, is anyone ready for a motion? Mr. Kumorik?
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion on this application, Mr. Chair. The neighbor reminded us of some comments we've made earlier, not only today, but other times about the significance of variances related to yards and whatnot, all very true. I think my thoughts on this one boil down to the fact that, yes, there's obviously more impact from these variances due to these variances than, you know, what the existing house causes. So the question is, are they extraordinarily deleterious? I don't find them to be. This is an area of very large homes, and this is a proposal for a very large home. I'm content that the variances meet the 4 tests, and I move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2 and the community planning department condition.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor, for that motion. I'm seconded for that motion. Mr. Komorek, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. The application is approved. Okay, thank you to the neighbor for your participation. Thank you to the agent. And okay, question for members and staff. It's now 12:06. We had 1 10-minute break earlier. We have 3 more applications for the morning. The next one, 17, Mr. Taylor has a conflict, and we have 3 speakers. And we have 1 speaker on the next one, number 18, and no speakers other than the applicant on 19. So would you like to forge ahead and finish off the morning, or would anyone like a break at this point? I'll leave it open to anyone's discussion as to how we proceed.
I'd like a break.
Okay, so let's break for what, 15 minutes or 10 minutes?
10's plenty.
Okay, let's go for 10-minute break. Let's return at 12 to 16, and we'll finish off the morning. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair and members, whenever one is ready, we can get going.
Okay, everyone's back. Just about. Okay. Okay, the next application is item number 17. So Mr. Taylor, I believe, has a conflict on this application. So it's 47 Hill Downtree Road. We have a revised plan for the agenda. They've made revisions showing that. So it's a detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 9 variances. 4 have been revised. We have revised plans, revised zoning waiver, cover letter, supporting materials with photos and similar other builds. And in the additional materials, we have transportation, 3 conditions of approval, urban forestry is looking for a refusal. And we have several speakers. The applicant is Eddie Perez is the agent for the applicant as well. I have the neighbors from 32 and 45 Hildentree Road.
Mr. Chair,
as well.
Mr. Chair, members, I'd like to bring to your attention that the area resident at 32 Hill Downtree is not on the call. We did reach out to them, and they did say that they will not be speaking, but that their letter on the file stands. Area resident 45 Hill Downtree is present.
Okay. Yeah, we have the. Do we have an objection letter on this? You mentioned an objection letter. I'm just trying to see. I see supporting material, planning report, forestry. I don't see any.
There's several objection letters in the edit material.
And the additional material. Oh, I see. 0 opposition. 15. Are there 15 letters, or that's number 15? Okay, that was the one. There were 15 letters of opposition, and I noted that they were all. It wasn't like a forum. They've all written letters, so those are all in the additional materials. Correct. And planning way in on this one? No, we don't have anything from planning. We do. Oh, planning just has a conditional of approval with respect to the building length and depth. Okay, so let's get started. We have Eddie Perez, and then we have the next door neighbor registered to speak as well.
And committee members.
And we have all those letters. Yeah, Mr. Perez, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I'm just going to pull up my additional materials with those letters before me. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so we only found out about the letters yesterday because they were uploaded only yesterday, so we didn't have time to talk to the neighbors. Also, my client, they didn't go to the neighbors because.
So did your client speak to the neighbors before they when they were planning this build?
No, unfortunately, they couldn't because what happened is his mom passed away, so he had to go back home for the funeral and such. So he didn't get the chance to do that.
Okay.
But he had told me what to reduce to make the project more presentable. So as you can see on the screen, we reduced a few items.
Okay, so why don't we make a presentation and we'll hear from the neighbor.
Okay, as for item number 1, was reduced from 37% to 34%. That's 241.38 square meters. And then item number 4 was reduced from 20.95 to 19.494. Number 5 from 20.95 to 19.94. And if you could put up the site plan, you can see that the main house itself, most of it's only 15.98 meters. They're taking the length and the depth from the cold room at the back because it's excavated. That's where that larger length is coming. If you put that up closer, you can see that the main house is 15.98 meters. So it's under 17, the majority of the house. So we reduced it to that. And then I also spoke to the owner. The owner's okay with complying with the balcony. We can go with the 4 meters. We don't need a variance for that. So we can eliminate that one completely. That would be number 8.
So you're eliminating variance 8.
Correct.
It's something new. Can you what's that variance just stated for the record?
Okay, and then I saw the notice from the forestry as well. We're going to pervert the trees. We don't want to get rid of the trees that are there. So we're going to get the arborists to get involved and make sure that we preserve those trees. So I'm going to be working with forestry moving forward, and we will preserve those trees. That's our objection to. We don't want to take them down.
Okay, so like you said, we got a whole whack of objection letters in the additional materials. If your client hasn't.
I also attached, if you can see, decisions in the area. And I also attached pictures of houses in the area.
Okay, yeah, I saw some beautiful, handsome houses there. So how does that relate to your application? You're not, but just can you explain the relevance of you attaching all those beautiful homes?
Yeah,
you've shown.
Yeah, number 34, Hilda Down got approved for 66%. Number 24 got approved for 58%. So we're in the ballpark of what's been approved in the area.
Okay.
Those are the ones generally in that street, but I attach a lot more as well. So I feel that this application meets the 4 tests after making the changes. And we satisfied the planning. Planning is on board. Just they wanted it to be worded that the depth, and that is part of the balcony at the back. That's what's counting the depth and length. So that's why they worded it as such.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Perez before we hear from the neighbor?
Just clarification on the length. I believe the neighbor's principal concern, but we'll hear from him anyway, is that the loggia or the patio area has a solid wall, so it looks like it continues with the main house. And I think that's part of the variance for the length as well, is it not?
Yeah.
Well, we can remove that wall. I can have that wall removed and have an open bottom.
Let's not go there yet. Let's hear from the neighbor. But I think that was my read of the main concern there. So let's see where we're going.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to hear now from Mr. Morisuti, and I see some of the reference letters reference his letter and piggybacking that they agree with him. So let's hear from Mr. Morisuti.
Mr. Chair, before we go to Mr. Morisuti, I'd like to bring to your attention that late last night we received a late forestry comments. If it would be okay, we'd like to show that on the screen now so members can be aware of them in advance of their decision.
They were looking for a refusal, I guess, in the consolidated memo. This is a standalone memo now that you've received. Correct? That we didn't previously have in the materials.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great.
As a note, only one private tree has been added to the memorandum that they have submitted, but it's on the screen now.
Yeah, it's a little small for me to see, but deny variances 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, right? Is there anything below that as far as you go on the page? Okay, and then they show as they normally do, the picture. So you're looking at tree number 1, which is a private tree, a privately owned tree, Norway spruce, 55 meters. So Mr. Perez said their intention is to save the trees. They want the trees as well. And he'll have a chance to respond to P, because I recall him saying that. And now he said he's eliminated variance number 8. So let's go, I guess, back over to Mr. Morisuti for his presentation and get more of Mr. Morisuti's letter dated March 20th on the board, which is in the additional materials.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Before we get started, could we please go back to that forestry report, because they've added, I think, detail about a second tree in the backyard, which was one of the concerns we had that did not seem to be addressed in the forestry report. And they now seem to be objecting to many more. That's the new addition. That's the tree in the backyard. And I have not seen this report before. So I've seen the previous one, but I'm curious as to the new information that's been added here.
Yeah, Mr. Wills indicated we just received that late last night.
Yeah. And can someone, it's a little small for me to read as well. Can someone tell me what that report says? Like the new portion to it?
Either Adam or Barb.
I haven't seen it either. They are recommending to refuse multiple variances. And I think Adam said that they've addressed a new tree that wasn't previously addressed.
So the original report did recommend denial of variance 1 and 2. But it's now seemed to be raising concerns with other variances as well. And can someone please scroll down the letter, because I can't see what the new objections are. Yeah, okay. All right, so variances 4, 5, and 6. That's exactly what I wanted to raise as part of my presentation as well. And if you keep scrolling to the picture of tree number 2, just so people understand the issue. The canopy, that's one of the largest trees in our neighborhood, if not the largest tree. It is enormous. And the canopy extends over the existing house right now. I don't understand how they can build the proposed home. Like it'll extend right into the branches of the tree. So it's either the tree gets removed or you're going to be opening your windows into the middle of the tree canopy. It's illogical. And
but if they, it's not a question of trimming some branches. Can we see that tree? Because that's the new tree. The old tree in the old memo was March 10th, and then we have the fresh memo showing the additional, as you say, the very large, tree.
Yes.
Can we see that tree? And yeah. So that's the new addition that they finally realized, I guess, that they missed a very substantial private tree in the rear yard.
Exactly.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention that this report I've confirmed with the application technician, and this report is on the Application Information Center and can be downloaded at this time.
Okay, can you scroll down a bit so we can see the tree? Yes, okay. So that's it looks like it's sort of in the middle of the backyard. It doesn't put it in, but you're saying that's close enough to the proposed build that it's going to be affected. You're saying not only the root system, but actually the branches.
Exactly.
Your query is, how do you protect that tree, even if you intend to? So we'll hear we need a response to that. So let's reset the clock and let's start your presentation. We're just dealing with.
Can I just make a footnote, just an observation? I mean, given that the forestry report is so late that we're all seeing it for the first time. But I note that forestry is still referring to the pre-revised numbers for building length and building cover and lot area coverage. So they're not referring to the applicant's revised numbers. So just
That's a good point. Because based on, and perhaps, so Mr. Ministudi, you can deal with that observation, because he's going to ask Mr. Perez that as well, in terms of that situation. But let's restart the clock, as we are dealing with this new information that no one had seen before in this newly arrived memo. So we'll start over, and the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now we can get Mr. Murasudi's letter up as well, which a lot of the neighbors have concurred with, or if they haven't written their own letter. And we do have 15 of them. Mr. Morasudi is certainly the most directly affected, being next door.
All right. Again, thank you. My name is Paul Morasudi. My wife and I have lived at 45 Hilldown Tree for over 24 years. And we have three main concerns with the requested variances and a proposed compromise. The first is the one we've just been discussing, about that large tree. It's curious that it's not shown on any of the plans or the survey that have been submitted. The tree in the front yard has been shown. This enormous tree, for some reason, doesn't show up anywhere. And again, it just emphasizes our concern that we don't think you can build this proposed house without somehow impacting that tree, and we think that tree's got to go. And that perhaps that's why it's not shown on any plans. But it seems forestry is now caught up to that issue. Our second issue is that the previous applications for minor variances for length and depth on our street seem to be limited to between 1 to 1.8 meters on average, whereas this applicant is still on the revised plans requesting 3 meters. This is not minor, as it will result in a large 2-story brick wall extending past our bedroom window, blocking sunlight. If someone could put up the site plan, I'd like to make a brief explanation for the details of the back of our house. So just above the applicant's property, that's our property. And there's a 1-story stucco addition family room at the back of our house. Our bedroom window is directly above that addition. So this proposed new home will result in a large 2-story brick wall extending well past the main portion of our home, plus a further covered patio another 13 feet beyond that, with a balcony on top. The proposed solid wall, as Mr. Kumaric pointed out, that proposed solid wall of the covered patio facing our property has a height of 15 feet above grade, and it will just look like an extension of the home. And this extends significantly beyond both what the bylaw allows and the requested variance. Also, the degree of enclosure of this patio effectively converts it into another room of the house. 2 of the 4 walls are fully enclosed, a third is half enclosed, and the 2 arches can easily be completed with windows. It does not appear that the depth of this solid structure was included in connection with the requested variances for depth and length. These proposed variances plus the enclosed patio will result in a significant blockage of light into our bedroom and also our family room by allowing tall, solid walls well past the depth of our home. Third, and most important, is the balcony on the 2nd floor off the master bedroom. The requested variance is not minor, but represents a 248% increase of the allowed area. I acknowledge that Mr. Perez said they're willing to withdraw that. However, that proposed balcony, no matter what size, would still sit well above and beyond our main floor addition and will provide a bird's eye view into our backyard, our swimming pool, our entertaining spaces, and most importantly, into our master bedroom window and 2 other bedroom windows and our kitchen window, all at the rear of our house. This is a significant concern to us, as it will significantly and detrimentally affect our privacy. By allowing an extension to the length and depth of the house, plus the covered patio, just exacerbates this privacy issue. The balcony would be positioned so far beyond the back of our wall, the back wall of our house, that anyone on that balcony could easily look directly into our bedroom windows. Frankly, we would prefer the balcony be removed altogether as there is little utility to this feature except for looking down into neighbors' yards and our bedroom windows. We also note that dimensions on the balcony as shown on the second floor plan indicate that it'll be set back from the edges of the flat roof, but the various elevation drawings show the railings extending virtually to the edges of the flat roof, increasing our concern that that balcony eventually will get overbuilt. In conclusion, we support the new owner's attempt to improve the property at 47 Hill Downtree Road. However, the variances we describe above are not minor nor desirable for the appropriate use of the land. Also, these variances would result in a significantly negative impact to the privacy and enjoyment of neighboring properties and set a negative precedent for future proposals on our street. We would like to point out the significant amount of support our position has received from many other residents of the street, including, importantly, the neighbor immediately to the west of the applicant's property. I mentioned at the outset that we do have a compromise to propose.
5 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you've reached your 5 minutes,
Yep.
sir.
If I could have
Yeah, I
15,
see your-
could I have
see
15
neighbors-
seconds left? More?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay,
Just because
thank
your neighbors all talk about your proposal, I'm gonna ask you if you also discussed it with Mr. Perez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's our proposed compromise. If the enclosed nature of the patio and the balcony can be removed, in other words, by all means, keep the patio, but please remove the walls and the roof. And we'll let urban forestry deal with the tree issue. That's their area of expertise, not mine.
Okay, so just to clarify that suggestion, you withdraw your objection and based on the entire application, if that is something that Mr. Perez is willing to agree to on behalf of this client?
Yes, if they remove
Okay.
all of the walls of the patio and the roof and the balcony, then yes, we have no objections.
Okay, and have you communicated that previously to Mr. Perez? Is this like the first, because I see the neighbors refer to it, so it seems it's something you've talked about before today. So was Mr. Perez aware of this?
No, we actually tried to talk to the neighbor about this, and I think Mr.
Yeah.
Perez's explanation explains why nobody
Yeah.
answered the door when we did not.
Okay, okay,
But no one approached us either.
Okay, so let's first see if any of the members have any questions for you, and not, we'll go back to Mr. Perez to respond to you, what you had to say.
Mr. Chair, I sort of a question, but more of a clarification to the deputant. Just wanted to clarify that the depth variance that is being sought is in fact inclusive of the covered concrete porch. And if that were not included, then there would be no depth variance. Just wanted to just make sure that you do understand that. I'm looking at the drawings and it's showing me 19.94 to the end of the covered concrete porch, not to the end of the main house. So the main house itself is, as Mr. Perez indicated initially, it does not, or it is within the, it is less than 17 meters. It would not require a variance.
I had understood from the planning report that they measure 18.11 meters to the rear wall of the kitchen, which I interpreted as not including the covered patio.
Okay, well, the covered patio will be included one way or the other anyway because of the cold room underneath. So it'll still come into the calculation, but the main, I guess, yeah, there is a bit of a jut out there. So that's 18. Okay, I stand corrected. It's 18, but it's not 19. So it's really only 1 meter.
But it's an important meter because of the impact it has on our property.
Yeah, except that that's set back from your property by 5 meters.
Sorry, I thought you meant the 1 meter was the extra meter for the patio. To be perfectly clear, the only issue my wife and I have is on the, let me get my directions straight here, the eastern wall of the proposed development. Right?
Yeah, I kind of gathered that from
the patio and the balcony are really what
I gathered that from your letter. So yeah. I think I've addressed the patio issue, and I think Mr. Perez is willing to remove that wall. I just wanted to point out a couple of other things to you before we proceed with this. And the other is that as you know, they can have a much smaller balcony as of right, which is what will wind up happening with the withdrawal of variance 8. Once they have it as of right, there are no conditions that we can impose. If they leave it as a variance, we can impose condition of a privacy screen. So I'm not sure if that is a plus or minus for you.
Well, if the balcony stays, then yes, we'd like whatever can be done to protect our privacy. I'm still a little dismayed that, again, the length and depth variance is 3 meters. We're not talking 1 meter more than what planning thinks or anything else. It's a 3 meter request, right? And to me,
The 3 meters is to the back of the covered concrete patio.
right. And so I'm sticking my hand up saying I would like to deny that because
Okay, so
that's what causes the privacy issue to our family.
Understood. But this is an example of be careful what you wish for. Because I think Mr. Perez is willing to withdraw that, but then the patio stands. So I think you need to consider, and we shouldn't be doing this. We're negotiating, like my inclination was to send this whole thing back, but given the circumstances, you didn't have a chance to speak to the neighbors and et cetera. We're trying to do the best we can, but that wall will provide some noise privacy when that patio is being used. So just something to consider.
To be honest, I'm not too concerned about that. Islington Avenue is just a few houses further away, so there's constant traffic noise in any event.
Okay, no, fair enough. Just some observations before Mr. Perez comes back with his offers of changing or whatever, right? So.
And I mean, and it's still, again, the length and depth variance also impact that large tree in the backyard. So
anyway, he asked you, we're in questioning now. So he
it.
asked a question, you answered your question. So the question, just to summarize, whether you're, I don't know if the 9.91 second floor balcony fits in or looks more like it fits, and the addition of the committee being able to impose privacy screens, or a 4-meter one, which Mr. Kermack was saying we can't impose privacy screens and may stick out or look like it doesn't fit because it's smaller. Whether there's more risk to having more people up there if it's 9 meters and 4 meters. Actually closer to 10 meters, not 9 meters. And that doesn't mean, again, in fairness, that perhaps the applicant himself will want a privacy screen or perhaps not, because that feel closed in. But at 9.91 meters, Mr. Kimura can impose that as a condition. At 4 meters, he's saying he cannot. Okay, so let's go back to Mr. Perez and hear what Mr. Perez has to say, especially given the fact that there wasn't any communication. We got these last-minute letters, a whole whack of them, and including Mr. Murasudi's concerns right next door and the concern of the neighbor on the other side.
Yeah,
Perez, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I was listening to what the gentleman has to say. We're okay with putting privacy fences if that's the means that we're going to go with. We have no problems with that. I even spoke to the client. He's okay with opening the bottom portion of the veranda as well. And we can impose that if you like. That's not a problem with the neighbor, with the owner. The owner wants to keep the neighbors happy and also have the development that he desires for this property. As you can see, a lot of properties in the area have been approved with similar variances. And we feel that this is very in keeping with the area. And we'll do our best to maintain all the trees that are there. We have no intent to injure any of them, but we'll deal with forestry moving forward with that. And as you know, forestry won't let us do anything unless we clear it with them. So we'll take care of that item as well.
Okay, but you're the one you gave me all these supporting beautiful pictures of the front facades of all the neighboring houses.
Correct.
But what does that have to do with the length and depth? You only gave us the front, so
some of them have lengths and depths. If you go to the decision, there's lengths and depth variances on some of those decisions.
Okay. Okay, so in terms of, I just trying to clarify, so you're saying you don't have a problem, you said privacy fences, you mean privacy screens on the second floor balcony. So are you withdrawing that, I guess it's within your right to
That's if the-
withdraw that condition, that
Oh.
variance, number 8?
That's only if the owner wants, but if the owner doesn't want out, we're okay with the 4 square meters. I mean, the neighbor, sorry, we're okay with the.
You have to decide what you're presenting to the committee here for a decision.
We'll go with the 4 square meters. We'll eliminate it.
Okay, eliminating the variance. Okay. Okay, so please continue with your rebuttal if you haven't finished.
Yeah, so like I said, I feel that this is very minor in nature and it meets the 4 tests. It's in keeping with the area. There's many houses in the areas like this one, so I feel that it's meets in the 4 tests and should be approved, in my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, so are you saying then in the condition with Mr. Morisuti, you are agreeing to remove the walls and the of that? I just want to clarify what your position is here.
Yes, we are. We're okay with removing the walls on that patio.
Is that a red line to the plans, or do we have the right plans before us, Madam Secretary Treasurer? How does the committee consider that in terms of what has just been offered and before the committee votes on it?
So we don't showing that, but suggested wording for a condition could be that the rear covered concrete porch shall remain open on 3 sides.
Okay. Okay, so members, we've heard what Mr. Perez, he's looking to agree to that condition. He's agreeing to eliminate variance number 8. And any other questions, or is someone ready for a motion?
I think we need to clarify that change with regard to the concrete porch, because we need to specify which 3 sides. And in doing so, Mr. Perez, are you also removing that fireplace there? I mean, that's part of the wall. Like, this is what we shouldn't be doing, is negotiating the minutia, but that's what comes out of this.
Yeah, we can remove the fireplace. We'll keep it open with railings and such. It'll be fine.
So we're removing, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we know which 3 walls. Sorry, Barb. I'm overthinking this.
Yeah. So that's why I asked Barb to let us know what the word, whether that could be accomplished.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
If we're okay. So any other questions, or is someone ready to make a motion? Bring a motion.
If anyone else has questions, I'll wait.
Ms. Alderson, Ms. Raddick, any questions? Okay, no questions, Stan.
Okay, I'd like to move approval. I believe there's been some substantial revisions made to make this compliant with the 4 tests, and I believe that has been achieved. I'd like to make that approval conditional on forestry condition 2 with regard to private trees. I'd like to make it conditional on the 3 transportation conditions, which we didn't discuss, but I'm assuming Mr. Perez is okay with them. I'd like to make it conditional. And this is where we're going to get into difficulty. The planning condition is saying as illustrated in the site plan, but now we can't tie it to the site plan because we're making some alterations. So,
well, that's only in relation to the length and depth.
Okay, so fair enough. So let's just instead of the planning condition, then we'll put in the condition that the 3 walls of the the back patio is open on 3 of the 4 sides. Does that work?
All 3 sides. Yeah. Barb?
Sorry, yes, that's so the rear covered porch or deck shall remain open on 3.
Right, and then we don't need, we still need to tie it to drawings because we don't want to give them a carte blanche on the building length.
No, so you can use the planning condition because it's only in relation to the
length of the,
Okay, fair enough. So we include the planning condition and that additional condition with regards to the rear patio.
Correct.
That is my mouthful of a motion.
Okay, thank you for that.
Did we add in variance number 8, removal of variance number 8?
Yeah, sorry, as modified, or as revised, which would include the elimination of variance 8. If that's a friendly amendment, I'll take that.
Yeah, I think he did that on the fly, which is why I don't like to do these things, but
I know.
anyway, I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. You have your approval based on the revisions in the motion that was made. Thank you. Looks like it's a good compromise and a good solution for everyone, hopefully. So item number 18 then, we have 2 more left for the morning, is 19 Kings Grove Boulevard. It's, just get to that. Okay, somehow it's minimized. I can't even read my my notes. Can someone read out the purpose of the application? We do have 6 variances, now 5. We have the revised plan, but for some reason my computer is no longer allowed me not to minimize.
I can read it, Mr. Chair. To construct a 2nd-story rear addition, a new front porch, rear deck, and to reconstruct the existing detached garage in the rear yard.
Yep. Okay. I see it became a little bit clearer. Okay, and there are, as I said, we have the revised plan. Item variance 6 has been removed and variance 5 has been reduced. We have a waiver. And the speaker, we have David Lang as the agent for the applicant. We have a neighbor from 18 right across the street, registered to speak. Provided Adam, we have that neighbor on the line still.
Mr. Chair, members, the area resident is present on the call at this time.
Okay. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Lang then first.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Or good afternoon. David Lang, 2100 Bloor Street West. I'm the agent for the application.
Okay.
Did you want a brief presentation? I had submitted it.
Yes, I would. You have a neighbor here, so we might as well
Okay.
get. Yeah.
Sorry, we weren't aware that someone would be speaking today, but I'm happy to answer any of their questions or concerns.
Okay. So otherwise, yeah, just give me a brief 1-minute Cole's Notes version of what we have here with respect to this build.
Yeah, so we're proposing to reconstruct the 2nd floor with a 2-story rear addition to enlarge the home for functional purposes. We've tried to prepare the plan in a way that would complement the style of the neighborhood. It's going to require a couple of variances for coverage and setbacks. Most notably, the existing building is kind of squished up against the right side of the property. So there's some side yard setbacks as we will be building in line. And then the garage in the rear yard is going to be rebuilt where it is, but we've moved it slightly. So the variance that has been eliminated was related to that part. Otherwise, we're essentially asking for 2 variances, one for coverage and FSI for the area of the building, and the other one is items 2, 3, and 4 for the setbacks as they relate to the walls, the roof, and the rear deck.
Okay. And we do have, I believe, letters of. Do we have any letters of support? We have. Or I was looking at, is this one? Oh, sorry, it's the wrong application. I'm looking.
There's something there from Metrolinx that was more of a notice, I think.
Yeah, it's an advisory comment. It's nothing we normally deal with. So let's just see if anyone has any questions for you before we hear from the neighbor as to what their concerns are, if any.
Just a quick question for clarification. I'm on Street View. I can't see the garage, but I'm assuming it's there. It is there.
Yes, it's in the backyard. It's down at the end of the driveway. It's like,
Okay.
It really is dilapidated. It needs to be rebuilt.
I believe you. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and sorry, Mr. Lang, the letters I was talking about are on the next application, item 19. So there are no letters for or against. We just have the one neighbor looking to speak. So let's hear from, and there's no other questions for Mr. Lang at this point. Let's hear from Mary Picard at 18. Right, I guess, great.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to participate. I'm happy to report no concerns, no objection. Very interested in the process. Appreciate the planning staff input and the applicant's response on the adjusting the overhang of the eaves. And that's all I have to say. So it's
Okay.
a good contribution.
Okay, so it's not, you're not in opposition, you're just participating. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, so Mr. Lang, I guess no need for a rebuttal to that. Let's see if members have any last minute questions or if someone's ready to weigh in. Mr. Taylor, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied that the variances meet the four tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval with no conditions.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that? Ms. Alderson, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Lang. Thank you, Ms. Picard, for your participation as well. Okay, our last item of the morning session, item number 19, 39 13th Street. It's an application for a one-story rear addition, a one-story front addition, a second-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are two variances. We have a cover letter, 2 letters of support, 1 letter of opposition, 1 speaker. Heather Asquith, architect, agent for the applicant.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Heather Asquith. I'm the architect and agent for the application at 39 13th Street.
Okay, so we have a revised notice here showing changes.
Yeah, the revised notice was, there was the description of the proposal was incorrect in the first issue of the notice. It was just an error. I think it would have been the description of 99 13th, which had been heard earlier in this hearing.
Okay, no substantive changes to the variance or
No, nothing changed.
Okay, members, any questions or is someone ready for a motion? And there are no proposed conditions.
I just wanted to check to see if you'd seen the letter from the neighbor.
Yes, we saw that letter of objection from the neighbor directly to the south. And while she, doesn't specifically object to variances directly, the owners respect and understand her concerns and will do their best to minimize disruption during construction and maintain access to the shared right-of-way. We understand she's concerned about disruption during the summer when she tends to her gardens. However, the owners are not planning construction until the end of the summer, so the bulk of construction would happen through the fall and winter months.
Okay. Thank you.
If they, construction is, sort of a necessary evil. We have no control over construction. Okay. Members, someone ready to weigh in with a motion?
I'm good to go, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I believe the application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'd like to move approval with no conditions.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. And you have your applications been approved. Okay, we're now, I guess, breaking for lunch. It's exactly 1 p.m. So we'll return. Do you want to return to 2:15, staff, or 2:30?
Just at 2:30, please. And for anyone on the line, we are delayed, so our afternoon session will resume at 2:30.
Okay, with the time with sound check at 2:15, I guess, if anyone's on.
There's not a lot of people, so yeah.
If people are just coming now for the 1 p.m., which was supposed to start now, so they'll know. 2:30, the sign will be posted. Okay, so everyone have a good break, and we'll see you back at 2:30 to do the afternoon session, which should be relatively a short-lived afternoon. Okay,